But the countdown and the other thing, I did that the other day, and Mark pulled me on it. He went, "We ain't live." I had to start again.
Good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Spurs THFC Till I Die. You know, Spurs Diehards is a fantastic new channel. We've got Adrian, we've got Mark. We're waiting for our guests to come in as well. We've got a few guests lined up. We're just waiting for them to join us. But while we're waiting, let's introduce you to Mr. Stroker and Mr. Cousins. How are you both today, gentlemen?
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. I was waiting for Adrian to speak. I do apologise. I'm here.
It's unusual for Adrian to be quiet. Come on, Adrian.
Well, that's what I thought. I'm here to eat a little bit of humble pie, seeing as England won the other night, and I've been going at them. So I must eat some humble pie.
Yes, you must.
Yeah, I'm well.
I'm going to be cooking it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adrian, how are you tonight?
I'm well, looking forward to the show. My fellow admin Ellie and Mod Mark here. We are waiting for 3 guests. We'll see if they can make it. Obviously, Friday's Friday, isn't it? People do their own thing.
Yeah.
But, I'm expecting at least a couple of them to turn up.
Yeah.
So it's all good. And I believe Ellie's going to start us off with a semi-final game against Holland. Well, there's a lot on the run sheet list, actually. We probably will not
you've done a fantastic run sheet here. I've got it in front of me, so I won't lose my way. So we're going to kick off with that fantastic game versus Holland. I'll first start with Adrian. Right, Adrian, what was your take on the game, mate?
Well, it was a much better performance by England, especially the first half. Let's get Haz in.
Let's get Haz in.
Why didn't he come in?
That's it.
Right. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
We're good.
Okay.
Welcome, Haz. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. You're most welcome. As you've been inviting me on your show many times. I haven't been on your show for a while, but it's because I've been a bit dodgy with the old legs. So
I've been on holiday
we were just going to kick off with the Euro semi-final versus Holland. So actually, I'll start with Haz, as he's our new guest. Right? Let us know what your thoughts were on the game and how you thought it went.
Well, I actually thought Holland would sit back initially and play on the counter-attack because of their pace, but they kind of didn't. So it was a much more open game. And I think that kind of suited England a lot more because of Saka and Foden and players like that. So they could hurt Holland more. Because my biggest fear, like I said, was like if the Dutch just sat back and just used their pace on the counter-attack. So I thought that might happen. But because of that, I think it kind of played into England's hands. I thought England were really good in the first half.
Yeah.
And a bit meh in the second. And I know I'm going to get a little hate for this, but there was no way that was a penalty. I'm sorry.
That one was quite controversial, that penalty. But look, once the referee goes to the monitor, about 90% of the time it's given, isn't it? Because the referee, he didn't give it on field, but he changed his mind. Obviously, he had a look at the follow-through properly, because anywhere else on the pitch, that follow-through would have been a foul, regardless of what happened before it. Yeah, so maybe the fault of that.
It depends, though, because it's kind of like Kane kind of kicked into his leg, if you really think about it, because he puts his foot up to block the shot because he's expecting a shot, and then it's kind of like happens. And in my opinion, if they're going to give penalties like this now, you might as well give like 10 penalties every game, because
let's start with what I mean. What we've spoken about it before, us admins, when we start a show, is basically when it's about Spurs or whatever, we're going to start. We'll start with the lineups, with everyone giving their opinion on the lineup, whether they agree or whatever. Then we do the first half, and we'll talk about the first half. Then we talk about the second half. So lineup then, and then we'll come to Soren afterwards. Your view on the lineup, then we'll go to Soren, Mark, and me and Ellie, because Ellie's hosted. What do you think of the lineup for that game against Holland?
Sorry, my view? Are you asking?
Yeah, your view.
Yeah. Well, I think he kind of picked the right team. There wasn't really many changes to be made after the last game. I wouldn't have really changed anything. He didn't bring any of the defenders that I would have taken to the Euros, so I couldn't really change anything back there. As for the midfield, I think Mainu's kind of earned his spot, and Trent doesn't deserve to play. And I think Mainu and Rice is probably the best duo England have right now. And the attack, if you want to fit Saka, Bellingham, and Foden on top of all of that, you kind of have to play Foden off the left or wherever he was playing in the game. So you couldn't really change anything. And I know there's been calls to drop Kane, but I think it's just bonkers. Because I think he just brings a lot more than just like goals to a match. So
true.
And I think Watkins and Tony have been more effective off the bench anyway. So there was no need to make any changes, really.
I agree.
Soren, your view on the lineup? What do you think of the lineup, Soren, for that game?
I think it worked. So we're through to a final. I don't really see what more we can say about it. As much as anybody wants to slate Gareth Southgate off, he's got us to another final. You are?
Mark Cousins, not dropping any names.
I mean, look.
It's not my turn yet. Just wait a minute.
There's been a lot of slating of the manager off, and some of it's been deserved. I get that, but he's got us to a second final, and how many times have we heard, as going as Spurs fans, that don't really care where we finish, we want a cup, or don't care what the football's like, we want a cup, and then you get boring football or something's not right, and everybody moans. And same with England, the football's not been great for a change, and we're in a final. Every chance, there's a 50-50 chance of winning a cup. So hopefully he'll drop Kane, because then maybe England will win. I think it's written in the stars that Kane's never going to win a trophy, so maybe he shouldn't actually play.
Maybe we substitute him, Soren.
Bring him on at the end, just for the last 2 minutes when we're 3-0 up.
That'd be good.
He's played. But Southgate, as much as we want to slate him off, he's got it right. He's got us there, and whether it's right or wrong, he's got us there. So I'm not going to slate him off yet.
It's like by hook or by crook, he's got us there. But the thing is, the football hasn't been fantastic until we played Switzerland. We played okay. We played decent against Switzerland. But I think against Holland, we stepped it up in that first half. Okay, the second half wasn't as good, but we still managed to get the win. And that's the most important thing at the end of the day. So I'll move on to Adrian.
Mark, I know this.
All right, I'll move on to Mark, because Mark's got a lot to say, and he's got a lot of apologies, and he's got a lot of getting down on one knee in front of Southgate and giving him the knighthood if he wins it. I think you should replace King Charles and give him the knighthood.
Obviously. Now, obviously, if you've watched these shows before, I've always said that Gareth is a genius of a manager. I've always rated him. And,
what was your thought on the lineup, Mark? What did you think of the lineup?
It's the same old, isn't it? he never changes much, does he? It's
No.
always the same old faces. You know, I mean,
He's a loyal manager, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's quite loyal.
yeah, he's like he just puts his mates on, doesn't he? He's a bit like Ryan.
I want to disagree a little bit here. I think he's been quite bold in some of the players he's taken and hasn't taken this time.
He's done it on form, hasn't he? He's done it on form.
Well, I don't know if he has done it on form. I mean, Luke Shaw hasn't played for however long he's gone, so that's not on form.
No. Apart from him, but let's face it, he was about our only left back, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, I mean, but like obviously Mainu and people like that, they
But they finished the season well, didn't they?
But what I'm saying is, though, they're not the normal ones that we would see in the team. Being left back that haven't gone, that a lot of us would have expected to have gone.
Yeah, like Jack Grealish, for example.
Well, Grealish, then you've got what's his name, defender from Man U, Maguire. That's it. There's one or two that that is.
Well, that was a form thing.
But then,
yeah, but I mean,
my biggest gripe with this squad selection was one, the lack of Grealish or Maddison, because I didn't think England had like a playmaker.
Yeah,
and I would have taken one less midfielder than he took, like maybe not Trent, and would have taken one of those. And then also I would have taken Braithwaite and Tomori probably in defence, and maybe Tarkowski as well as a shout. But he took Guehi, who's been all right, and obviously some other players instead. So yeah, but it's done all right so far, obviously, because it got to the final.
Yeah,
and Guehi's had a decent tournament. Even though I'm not a massive fan of him, I don't really rate him that highly. But
you don't rate.
I've always rated him. I've always rated him.
Fantastic. He reads the game like Ledley King. He's such a good reader of the game, and he's got pace and he's tenacity to win the ball. He's been our best defender by far. I mean, John Stones hasn't been too far behind him. Trippier's been a little bit up and down, hasn't he? To tell you the truth. Other than that, I think Guehi, however you pronounce it, I think he's had a fabulous tournament, and he got straight back into the team. So that showed you that Southgate is a loyal man. He didn't play Konza. Yeah. So, like, moving to Adrian, what did you think of the setup? Did you think Southgate got it right with the lineup?
Even the game before, when Saka proved me wrong because I wanted to play Bowen and Jared Bowen instead.
Yeah.
Right? And again, he turned up, and the lineup was fine. You knew there could only possibly be one or two changes anyway. It's the Shaw Trippier scenario, basically. Yeah. Whether you're going to be bold in midfield. I've been pushing my opinion, which I'll receive a few pelts for, because my preference is to fit Kane and Ollie Watkins into the same side. But to do that, you have to kick the young kid out who's played very well, Mainu, because then you're playing Rice with Bellingham as a number 8 in a ball-carrying Gaza style to send, defence splitting passes through to two strikers. But with them two there, you could then play a midfield of Foden, Kane as the 10, and then you've got Saka on the right. Kane plays as a 10 anyway. When you put him on the field, he just plays as a 10, right? Then, because you've got those three, you could play Ollie Watkins up front, and then you've got someone who's got the pace to get in behind defences. That's what I like, right? But, that's just my opinion on what you could do to fit Kane and Watkins into the same side. You wouldn't get the same pace with a Tony. Tony was brought on as a sub in a previous game, basically put a bit of physical presence into the box, see if you can out-muscle someone, win a header, which worked fine, and we got a goal. But I still think Watkins is ahead in a pecking order, So,
but you'd have to sacrifice like Foden or something to put Kane with Watkins, wouldn't you?
You could sacrifice Foden, but actually Foden had his best game, didn't he? Against
I know.
Holland?
So it's quite hard
and
to
hit
fit
the post, and that would have been a Lamar goal and Mark II, wouldn't it, if that had gone in? Plus the fact, what about his quick feet when the ball didn't go over the line?
Yeah,
we was all praying it did. I mean, I love the player, and he's been crap before that game. Let's be honest, he's been rubbish. right? And to me, it is a bit baffling because when you've got that much talent, we all say it. I mean, Soren, I know, is an old dog like me, not as old, nowhere near as old and all that. But you should be able to adapt. Players should be able to adapt if you've got that much talent. And I just find it, I think it's because football's become a bit too robotic. You know, that players don't think for themselves. They should do things more instinctively, you know. So, no, if he goes with the same team again, they would deserve it. They got us there. I don't see him putting Bellingham in a number 8 role anyway. And he looked better in that game, didn't he? So there were pluses. That's the selection. I don't know if you want to talk about the first half or second half first, Elliot. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I think we'll start with the first half. Me personally, I thought we dominated. We had most of the ball. We penetrated them a lot. We got into their areas that they didn't like, but then they go and get the first goal. And it was a terrific goal. What a blast of a goal. Brilliant. Gave the goalie no chance to save it. Although I saw some people on Twitter saying that he should have saved it. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, it was a thunderbolt of a shot. It was difficult. Any goalie would have found it difficult to save that.
Just one question on that, Elliot. Don't mean to interrupt. But
that's all right.
Prior to Simons getting the goal, right?
Yeah.
Who saw the foot on Rice's foot, the tread on Rice's foot before?
Yeah, they were mentioned.
Not a mention. Now, I've seen free kicks given for that. We can argue about the penalty. And I just thought, I wanted it to be a free kick. Obviously, I'm supporting England anyway, right? So, but I thought, that's a foul. Unless they thought it was an accidental. I'd have to see it a good few times because they didn't show it. But I see, and it was a foot on top of his instep. It wasn't like a kick from the side or behind or a catching. And when they're on the instep, to me, that seems to be a bit to stop the player more deliberate. But I don't know what you guys. Not much was made of it.
What did you think of that, Haz? Did you think it was a foul on Rice? Do you think it should have been pulled up?
I'm in a minority, but I don't think it was a foul.
Fair enough.
Okay. Any particular reason why you don't think it was a foul?
I just thought it was a bit soft.
Bit soft, yeah. You think it was a 50-50 then? Like
what's the word? As in, there was no intention there to like foul him and such. Like it just kind of, as not a collision, it wasn't a collision, but as in, you know, just as a consequence sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Soren? Did you think it was a foul?
No chance. Look, as an England fan, you wanted it to be pulled back for a foul, but that was no more a foul than that was a penalty. So
Look at it.
I mean, I think with Rice, you sort of saw it, but I think he'd already lost control of the ball anyway. So it would have been a harsh one to have ruled the goal out for that.
Yeah. Anyway, I think Mark probably, I can see him sort of grimacing now. Did you think it was a foul then?
No, well, now can I just premise this by saying I was in the pub watching the game, and so it's all a bit foggy.
I understand.
But
beers before the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so we're talking about the first half, yeah.
Yeah, the first half where they scored a terrific goal.
Yeah. Well, they scored that good goal, but like the first half, well, for the first 20 minutes, we was all over them.
Yeah.
Like getting at them, but whoever it was that got injured and got taken off, and because they had to make I think I'm right. They had to make a substitution after about, was that 25 minutes? They had to take him off.
They took the play off and they brought Verman on.
Yeah.
To stiffen up the midfield because they were just losing the midfield.
Yeah. Well, this is what was going on. We was just running straight through them, and as soon as they put that extra body in the midfield, it stopped. And it took Gareth a whole half basically to realise what was going on and change it. I mean, the Dutchman, all right, Depay got injured, so we had to go off anyway. But the Dutch manager realised that what was going on, so we stuck another, all right, it might have been coincidence that Depay got injured, but he realised what was going on and he put another body in there and stopped England immediately. Because as soon as their substitute come on, the game was like nit until Gareth made some substitutions. This is one of the many criticisms I've got of him. He doesn't react. He'll let it go on for it feels like ever before he'll do something. I mean, if he'd have done that, if he'd have given it 5 minutes after they'd made their substitution, realised what was going on, and made the substitution he did near the end of the game, we'd have won that in normal time.
He does get accused of being reactive instead of proactive, but 5 minutes I think is a bit harsh. You're going to wait and see what.
All right. The beginning of the second half.
Yeah.
You know, because you could see what was going on.
And then, like Had said, and then the Dutch, they had a spell where they had a fair bit of the ball and came at us like if we're on the second half, but like they were actually, even when we pushed on, you could still see they were trying to hit us on the break. They looked like they had a goal in them, but to me, I never felt threatened by them.
I mean,
I kind of want to echo what Mark says in a bit, because when I've watched England, I felt like they've lost control of games in the second half a lot. Like it just, for some reason, the first half or they have a spell of like 30 to 40 minutes where they're really good, and then they get the goal or goals, whatever,
they foot off the gas,
and then they just tend to just sit on it.
Yeah.
And that's happened a lot under Gareth Southgate, to be honest. And it's cost England the final, and of course, in other games.
Yeah, when Italy. Yeah, because Italy took control. I remember that.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's happened against Slovakia. I mean, it's happened against Switzerland. It's happened almost every game. Even Serbia. I think England were very lucky to win that game. If it was 5 more minutes, I think Serbia would have scored. And I just think if you're playing against someone like Spain, the chances that Holland had will probably be converted more than likely.
Yeah.
Can we just point out, though, that we are in the final? There is only one other team in the final, and we are in the final. And it doesn't matter how badly or how many bad decisions Southgate has made. As a manager, he has now taken us to 2 finals. And what other England manager has done that?
No other manager. So we can't throw the stick at him and say, look, you know, he's our most successful manager in regards to getting us to finals. But what we've got to do,
hearing this.
what we got to do now.
What I will say though is that England have had favourable runs to the final.
Yeah,
but you can only beat who's in front of you. I mean, we look at going back and say we had the golden generation when we had Beckham and all them lot. Didn't get to a final.
No, I know.
I like the bit that you've all sort of picked up on the fact that we started the latter games brightly. We seem to go full pelt and then run out of gas. Reminds me of Spurs. And then when it gets necessary and you know the extra.
How many times, Adrian?
When the we said normally in the last 20 minutes we come good, and England very similar. Go hard first and finish strong, but in the middle of games, we've tended to struggle. Go on, Soren. Go on.
How many times have we said, either with club football or with international football, you play the teams that you're expected to win and we play poorly, and then we go up against the big boys and suddenly we play better. We might get beaten still, but we do put on a better performance. And again, I mean, this may be, you know, in Mark's court where it's down to the manager not necessarily getting the players up for it. But, you know, to me, when you're playing for your country and you're the top of your profession, you shouldn't need a manager to get you up for the game. You should be up for it automatically. But look, I mean, I've sat here and said that Southgate hasn't done a good job or his substitutions have been wrong or whatever. But, you know, he's got us to another final. And I don't know how many times I've got to say that. We're in another final. It could be coming home.
We have got a fantastic squad. I think we got the best squad in the Euros, actually. So we've got a lot. We've got a lot going for us. Just put it that way. Even with Southgate not being the best manager in terms of what we want to see our England, how we want to see our England play. We want us to see sorry, we want to see us play like we did in that first 30 minutes against Holland. Dominate the play sexy football, move the ball quickly, and get shots on target. Yeah, and Foden was buzzing. When Cole Palmer came on, he was buzzing. Ollie Watkins, when he came on, he gave us a different impetus. So there was a lot to take from the game. All right, it wasn't a perfect performance, but it was a lot better than what we put in against Denmark, against Slovakia, against Slovenia. See, I think we're progressing. So if now the cookie is in the jar, because we got to play Spain, and Spain are top notch, and they've been cooking right all through the tournament, apart from against Germany, where they looked a little bit jaded, but they still got the victory over the line. And that's a hard call because they're the host nations, and host nations normally do make the finals. But what I would say is that Southgate, yes, he has made errors, but like you said, Soren, he's got us to a final, so we're in it. We can win it, we can lose it, but I think the impetus of that Holland game is a good marker for us moving forward.
All right, Ellie, is there anybody on this panel right now wouldn't take a shit game but an England victory?
That's right. I would take it all day long. Honestly, if we get that victory, I don't care how we got it.
Exactly.
We win that cup. That's all that's going to be written down in history.
Exactly.
And parties all around England.
Yeah, it's not going to say England played well and won the cup. It's going to say England won the cup.
I believe that coming into this tournament, if I'd have said 3 teams with the best squad, there would have been France, Spain, and us.
Yeah,
and we are a bit of an unknown territory with us. Not so much unknown territory with the England squad, but we know there is so much more to come from the squad, especially them front 6, and not just the front 6, because we could field 2 front 6s. So English football should be in good hands from onwards. If it's, if whoever manages the side manages. Sorry, what'd you say?
We lost you for a bit.
Oh right, okay.
We just lost you for a bit.
If the squad is managed correctly, this team should be around and challenging and reaching semi-finals and finals, for in the next 3 tournaments, in my opinion, So and
definitely.
Although Spain are favourites going into Sunday's game, there's nothing to say that confidence that was gained from getting through that semi-final, especially that penalty shootout, which showed still this team have got, they've got grit. They've got grit. They've dug in. We played crap, but we've got through, and that's a sign of a good side. It's a sign of a good side, good squad. So they've got through. I mean, we haven't seen everyone on point playing every game. Even the game against Holland, we got through it, but not everyone was on point. I mean, we saw good flashes from players. No one actually, like in good teams in the past, there's usually a main player that takes the game by a scruff of the neck. That hasn't really happened. We've seen a bit more of a team effort because Mainu worked well, Foden, Saka, Bellingham, they were better, But in the second half, as has rightly said, we were meh. We were like, they were hitting us on the break. We didn't quite get to grips with the midfield, and we've got to against Spain. I can see us actually Spain having like 60-65% of the play, and we can still win this game 1 or 2-0 because we have got skill on. We've got so much skill. I mean, look, the one bit of Ollie Watkins' skill got us the goal. I mean, Saka's goal. When you've got quality in your team, I can go back to days of Glenn Hoddle, right? You always knew when you had that quality there, even if your backs were against the wall, one of them players, Ozzy, Hoddle, would just pull something out and just you're back in the game again. And I think the England side's got that. They've got more than enough quality. It's just that we've questioned Southgate's usage of the players, his tactics, his substitutions, which we're entitled to do. We want our national side to win something, I don't care what team they come from. If it's Saka, I remember having this debate before with people on other podcasts. I say, look, mate, I don't care if you want Arsenal players in the team. I don't care who plays for England as long as we win something. I don't care where they come from, as long as we win something. And for me to really get my love for England back, which is nowhere near my love for Spurs, nothing ever will match that, right? But to get that back, they've got to win this tournament. I don't want people making excuses for Southgate now, saying like, "Oh, we got through a semi-final. That's okay. Everything's fine." No, win it. Go out and win it.
I mean, the thing is,
I just think it's an absolute disgrace that Gareth is now England's most successful manager. How can he be held in the same, like the same, well, or even better than the likes of Alf Ramsey that won the World Cup? People like Terry Venables, who, all right, he never won nothing, but he was far better than Gareth. I think it's an absolute disgrace.
But the thing is, if we go
not
and
a
win the
disgrace,
Euros,
but maybe he shouldn't have been put up on the pedestal just because he got to the finals.
yeah, I mean, if
Go on,
Gareth,
sorry.
Gareth wins this tournament, then he's got to be classed as more successful because it's two finals. And I mean, it's the same argument as we have.
Not in my eyes. Not in my eyes.
The same argument as we have with Tottenham, where look at one of the worst managers that we've had because he came from Arsenal and yet he won us a cup.
I was there.
Exactly, what I mean? But we kind of don't want to talk about it, do we? Because it was an ex-Arsenal manager. But it's the same with this. If he wins a cup, then on that thing, it's the same argument as we have with Tottenham and finishing top four or winning a cup. He's won a cup. He's more successful than every other manager apart from the World Cup. Yeah. So
I just want to say sorry. Sorry, Ellie will relate to me with this. So with Greece and back in 2004, we won the tournament playing like
shit.
Not exactly the prettiest football player. I didn't really care. So like, even if England win it with a jammy 1-0, like it's still successful. So.
We stuck the tournament out. We stuck it out and we won.
Do you think like I do? Like with England, I mean, those that are older than us like me, there's not many people on the planet older than me. I think. Like, do you think that? Do you think I do? When you think that there are always in the past, there are always demands on an England manager, and there always will be, and there's more pressure than there was in the past. But we had managers, we had innovative managers. You had Hoddle, you had Venables, you had Bobby Robson, right?
Yeah.
They all played attractive football. And I think because football's become so methodical, right, so systematic, that like, and fans see when they see you got talented players, they want to see a free-flowing, beautiful, attacking style of football, right? More than anything, I think even more than winning a trophy. If the team plays, I can remember we went out of those World Cups, right, against Argentina, and we've been out on penalties. And back in those days, the one thing you could say about England was, whether we went out or not, we was always involved in the best game in the tournament. Everyone would come and say we were involved in the best game, and like you can't say that for years with this team. You go back to Euro '96 when we beat the Dutch 4-1. Venables played the 4-3-2-1 Christmas tree formation. It was so successful, and he was and the side was attacking. Even Bobby Robson changed it in Italian '90. He changed it so like that we were playing wing backs virtually. He changed things at the last minute going through the tournament when he see things weren't working. He had the balls to change things. Hoddle again. He was innovative. He tried things. Shame about the Ireland Drury thing. Obviously, he'd carried on being England manager, and why he got sacked for that, I just think was rubbish because it was a nothing anyway thing to me, in my opinion. So then, and we've had Ron Greenwood, I can go back to before you guys' times, another good England manager, and then we bring in, and I'm not being xenophobic, but what do you expect you're going to get with Sven-Goran Eriksson? And what is he'd won things before, not that much, or Capello and all that. What are you going to get? These guys. One, they're looking after their jobs and all that. They're not English anyway. And I'm not saying that being xenophobic. I think that no matter what, even if there's a shortage, an England team should always have an England manager. Do the Italians do it or the Spanish do it? I don't know if any of those clubs have had foreign managers. Do the Dutch do it? It might happen in Brazil or Argentina, I don't know, but it's not as often as we've done it. It's as if we were desperate to try something different so that we could win a tournament, and it failed miserably.
You can understand.
People criticise Southgate. I mean, and I've been a critic as well, but then you've got to look to the FA for bringing in people in. If they wanted to just bring in a politically correct yes man,
that's what they normally do.
Then they have to take part of the responsibility for the lack of England's success pre-Southgate.
Yeah, but
and for sacking good managers as well.
Yeah, but Adrian, you go through all those managers that we've just mentioned and how great the football was, and we were involved with the best in the best game. What did we win?
Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing. I mean, and at the moment we still haven't won anything under Southgate, but he's still got us to 2 finals. It doesn't matter what else we say. He will go down in history as one of the most successful managers England has had.
I think it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
It's not a disgrace, because at the end of the day, tournament football is about getting to the final and winning. And if Gareth Southgate does that, then he is the most successful manager that we've had as an England manager. Doesn't matter.
Well, if that is the case, I'm going through my family history to see if there's any Welsh or Scottish in there.
What I would say to that is that Gareth Southgate, right? He's got a plethora of talent, and I don't think he's got the best out of them. But at least he's got us to the final. That is true, Soren. Right? He's got us to the final, and now we've got a chance to win it. If you don't get to the final, you're forgotten, right? Yeah. All those brilliant footballers that we had before these footballers, who were even better than these footballers, I would say. I put my hat on that. They were, right? But they didn't get to a final. So for him to take us to 2 consecutive finals, I think he's done very well. But there's obviously the fact that we haven't played well, apart from here.
But do you think this group, Ellie, and everyone else, do you think this group is better than the so-called golden generation that we had with Lampard, Gerrard?
No.
Not yet.
I'm just asking for opinions.
They've got to mature.
They're on a par, I think.
No, they're not.
No, I think
they might get there.
When Gaza was there, fantastic team with Lineker. And
I wouldn't know.
We had Shearer, Sheringham, fantastic footballers. They're fantastic footballers. Shearer and Sheringham in themselves, no one can touch them, right? Not even Harry Kane, I would say, is better than Sheringham. He might have scored more goals, but I think Sheringham was a fabulous footballer with great vision.
I think the thing is, we compare generations, and the game is totally different. But I mean, my answer to that question would be, if we go to the Beckham era, Beckham, Scholes, that team was better than this team at the moment. This team, in a couple of years' time, if they stay together, will probably eclipse them. But as a goal, I mean, I'm assuming Haz is talking about that as the golden generation rather than, when the generations we might know. But
I only know really for England from late 90s, because I was
you look at the team with Scholesy and Lampard and Gerrard, and we can reel off these players. That was a better set of individual players than we've got now. But this team will progress, and if they win this tournament, I can see them getting another tournament. I really can.
As well. The other thing, Soren, I think is important. I mean, like comparisons in different areas when football's played differently as well. It's not an equitable way to judge things. I mean, I think that if you compared that bygone squad to this, one of the games a lot faster. I would say the players in this squad we've got more individually all-round skillful players in this squad.
Yeah.
Right. But that team, now you've got to pick the right time of that golden generation. They were brought in as older players into the squad than you've got with Bellingham, Mainu, and even Saka and all that. And so like they had a bit more nous about them. I think they were shackled by the bad managers, basically. That team should have won something, in my opinion, and they were shackled by bad managers, and more concerned with their own. I hate egocentric managers. Hates them with a vengeance, and that's what you get with some of these. It's more about me than it is about them, No, I think this squad compared to that squad back then has got more skill in it. I think it's more individual skillful, more than not that they weren't skillful, but this is more. These have got more individual skills, spread out across the board. But the other team,
very different.
More now, so, it's different. It's hard, isn't it? I mean, really, you're comparing apples with oranges. You shouldn't even do it.
It's like when we go on about maybe Hoddle and players like that playing in today's game. We don't know if they would actually succeed. I mean, Hoddle probably would, but you just don't know whether they would succeed in today's game. And it's the same as the players now. Would they succeed in the games past? I mean, can you imagine?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I mean,
we know Ozzy and Hoddle would 100%, and Sturman would, because he could move.
The thing I would say with that, I know with Italy, with Pirlo, when he was getting old, they put 2 players either side of him to do the donkey work for him. You'd have to do that with Glenn. But then he can put a ball on a sixpence at 40 yards. So I mean, so it depends.
You put any of these players.
Even back then, he wasn't always picked. Hoddle, he wasn't always picked.
He had very few England.
He said if he'd been Argentine, he got 150. You know what I mean? This is the difference.
You put any of these players today, back then, one tackle and they never get up.
Yeah,
I know.
Where they used to get kicked on that.
As much as I don't like slating our players off, can you imagine Emerson Royale playing 10, 15 years ago? I mean, he rolls around the pitch now like a bloody. He's been shot by a sniper from 500 yards. And that's just when the bloody players walked past him and breathed on him. So, Jesus Christ. I mean, can you imagine Vinnie Jones tackling Emerson Royale? He'd never get bloody back up again.
No, definitely not.
He'd be dead. They'd have to take him
Vinnie Jones had a firm grip on Gazza's love spud, didn't he?
Definitely.
He gave him a good old squeeze.
Half the players in the Premiership won't come out for at half time, would they? With some of those players back then, Roy Keane,
No. If you go back further than that, though, can you imagine some of the players now having a Graham Roberts tackle put on them?
Know what I mean?
They'd have no legs.
From what I've realised from watching football since I was young, obviously we had Super Sunday, whatever. But I realised the commentators back in the 90s and 2000s, up until maybe 2010-ish times, they would criticise players for diving, right?
Yeah,
and they would see it as a negative thing.
Yeah.
Now the commentators are like, well, he got touched, so he had to go down there to get the penalty. Rather than saying the opposite when before it's
it wasn't a done thing even among the international players when we were playing Italy even when they used to do all that rolling, then barrel rolls on the grass used to seal them. Do you remember them? You don't see them so much over dramatic tackles. But even then, if you were England and you were playing Italy at Wembley and one of your players did that, the English crowd would get at you. You didn't do it. It just wasn't the English way. So we've had to take on a bit of the dark arts because it's been forced on us,
Yeah, but the best thing that I've seen recently, and it's been doing the rounds again on X and things like that, is where Emerson Royale was on the floor and Romero just came up to him, kicked him on the butt and told him to get up again. I mean, what's happened? Why are all these players rolling about like they do?
It's the way the game is. It's the way the game is these days.
It's so sad. Yeah, I mean,
so sad, I know.
Yeah, you look at our own. I mean, and I'm not just saying our own players, but obviously I'm using our players as thingy. But you just look at it sometimes and you think he never even touched you. And it's embarrassing sometimes. I mean, and it's worse with sometimes in international matches. But when they roll around and they do that roll where they actually manage to go up in the air and roll and then carry on, and it's like. And then all of a sudden, they look up to the referee to see if they've got the free kick. And then they get up and you think, you should be booked for, yes, you've maybe got a free kick. But
I would like to see the rules revisited actually on this, because I know if you get medical attention, you go off for 30 seconds. If you're faking it, it should be a lot longer, in my opinion, 3 minutes or something like that. But you've got a situation where a player goes down. It's not a head injury. Then if you're away, you're the away ground or whatever, you've got the home crowd screaming because there are players on the deck. When he ain't, I mean, even if he's broke his leg, he's not going to die, right? I know it's harsh analogy to use. But like, so, and the amount of times then the referee does stop the play. It happened in England game as well when we had a forward during this tournament as well. The referee will stop the player when the player's down for so long, whether it's head injury or not.
Yeah.
No. If you don't stop the play, the players will stop doing it, right? I mean, this has got to stop. It's cheating.
Yeah.
It's like, it's what they call, I don't know, being professional.
But Spurs are benefiting.
Going on that point.
Go on, Haz.
I hate to bring it up, but like with Harry Kane, I mean, he was like a master of getting fouls.
No, he wasn't. Go wash your mouth out, young man. Chuffing hell.
What he does, he is a master. He is a master, but he's also very, very clever, right? Because he knows the player's going to hit him, because they know if Harry Kane turns, he's going to put a good pass in, or he's going to go in on goal and he's going to score a worldie, because he's capable of it. Even now, at his ripe old age, I think he's 31 now, right? He can still do it, right? And they know he's the top goal scorer. So they're going to foul him, and he'll ride the foul. He's fantastic at getting the foul. You're right, Harry.
It's them backing in fouls with Harry. It's them backing in fouls with Harry.
One example off the top of my head is, you know, when we beat Chelsea 5-3 and he got that penalty.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of like placed his foot in a specific spot so he could get clear.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
it's them backing in fouls with Harry. It's them backing in fouls with Harry. Like when he like backs in and he sometimes he sticks his bum out to make sure he gets pushed over.
Doesn't he? Yeah.
I've got a question for all of you. This took about second half, because we haven't covered the second half. You were right about the second half. It was meh, right? What would you have done to change things if you were Southgate? Because like we weren't getting the ball out to Saka like we did when we were playing well in the first half, right? What would you have done? What
I think he had to sacrifice. It's a bit controversial after he had such a good first half, but after the first 15 minutes, he had to take off someone like Foden and put someone like Gallagher in.
For the midfield. I get that. That would make sense. He's not a sexy player, but he does a job.
I know it's not. Like
or Trent. You could have brought Trent back in.
You mean?
Because I just felt they lost control of the midfield, and then as a consequence, they lost control of the game. And I just don't think he changed it. And I guess they rode the luck eventually till the last minute of the game. And then he thought, look, we're still in it. It's 1-1. Let's take a gamble and bring on Watkins.
Yeah, that's strange to me. I thought like it's as if we weren't. Oh, we can soak up all you got. You're not causing us no problems, and we don't care if it goes to extra time, sort of thing. That was what it was. Did that come across to you guys that way? That's what it came across.
I have to agree with you there.
No urgency, you know. So
I just point out though that if it had changed anything, we might not have won.
That's also true, Soren. You do have a habit of doing that.
I just thought we got it spot on when he brought on Cole Palmer and Ollie Watkins, because they gave us more impetus going forward.
Yeah.
No, he was right to do it. I'm just saying during that time period.
Yeah.
You could have done that earlier.
The problem is, though, we can sit here and sort of say in hindsight, we should have done this or we should have done that, or why didn't he do this and why didn't he do that? The thing is, if he'd have done anything differently to what he did do, the outcome would have been different.
Yes.
We might have won 3-1. We might have lost 2-1. And it's one of those things that, unfortunately, until after the event, you can't say what he did or didn't do was right. Because when you look back at it, whatever we say, he did right because we won the game and we are in a final. Doesn't matter whether it was right at the moment or wrong at the moment. It will always show us in the history book, we won the game.
Yeah, I know. And that moving on swiftly then, we're in the final, right? We're going to play Spain.
Ellie, we haven't gone through penalty or no penalty.
Well, we did. We sort of covered
we've got to go penalty or no penalty.
Definitely not a penalty. Definitely not.
If that's a penalty, then you might as well give another
I'm
5 or
going to
6 every
say,
game.
I'm going to say it is a penalty based on the fact that I don't know if you remember Romero's one versus Fernandes, where he won the ball, right? Harry Kane won the ball, right? So it was a reverse decision, right? So Harry Kane got his foot to the ball first, and then the defender actually has a high foot and follows through, and that's why I think he gives it. Because although it happened after Harry Kane's shot, because Harry Kane got his shot off, and then the foul happened. Right. So
if you want my opinion, Harry Kane kicked the bottom of his foot.
He did at first, but then the defender raised his foot higher and followed through, and that's why
I thought he raised his foot to block the shot.
To me, it wasn't a penalty, but if that happens in the centre circle, a free kick's given. That's the difference. That's the big difference. If it happens in the centre circle, a free kick is given. Right? He wasn't even really a raised foot either. But because it's
he does raise his foot.
Did you not hear Gary Neville's comments though? He's like, well, if the defender can't block a shot, then like,
I mean, Adrian's just said exactly what I was about to say. Totally contradicting yourselves. And I'm going to do the same. That outside the box, it's a free kick. Inside the box, it's not a penalty. It doesn't make sense. But, I mean, look, if that had been against us, we would have been we'd have been kicking the TV in if that had been against us. But because it's for us, but it's like a couple of people have said since, how many times have we been on the wrong end of the decision? The ball going over the line. Oh, it's not a goal.
Handball in Mexico.
Handballs, whatever. The hand of God.
All these. That's what I was on about.
The disallowed goal, 3 foot over the line by
Lampard's goal.
In South Africa.
We're talking about Lampard as well.
The good Sol Campbell goal, which was disallowed for no reason.
That should be disallowed. Sol Campbell.
Their manager that fouled somebody in the box and should have been our penalty. That was in one of the World Cups or the Euros.
Koeman should have been sent
Koeman, he pulled
us out of the competition.
Yeah. Who was it? Who was it he pulled down? Who was it he pulled down?
Who?
It was the quarters or the semis against Holland. They knocked us out. And it was Koeman that fouled one of our attackers.
I mean,
England go through. Did you hear what Raphael van der Vaart said? England are shit. I think we'll take that as passion because he's pained by the loss, right? But let's be fair. The Dutch, look, we're playing Spain. I mean, which is a bit worrying to me.
We've just been playing.
No, but we need to up our game. We know the players are capable of upping the game. There's a lot more to come for that club because, to be honest, I looked to that Dutch side. They got a smattering of good players. I mean, you got to play Weghorst, right? I mean, come on. I mean, you all right? You've got some good defenders because they keep VDV out.
Like Gakpo, Simmons.
Dumfries is good. I wanted him at Spurs a couple of years ago. Now I'm not so sure he's a bit older now. De Vries still playing. He must be 34. I like De Vries.
He's had a bad game.
So then you got Xavi Simons. Obviously, scores the goal and all that. But Depay's ain't been doing it for ages. He's another one of these egocentric players where apparently everything has to be around him. That's the stories you hear coming out. And we're not even Dutch to worry about that, right? So they're not, all right, you've got Gakpo, right? But he showed smatterings in that game, mainly his pace when he got through and we sort of managed to contain him. But he didn't set the world alight of the game. He looked threatening, but I don't think this Dutch side's that good. I mean, they look better in the previous game. So we shouldn't get... I mean, I don't know if we can come on to this. I don't know how Gareth's going to approach this game against Spain because, Spain are 3 levels above the Dutch, in my opinion. What do you think, Hez?
Well, I think he'll go defensive, at least at the beginning of the game. I don't think he's going to come at them because I think Spain will dominate possession just by default. I'd like to see him play a bit clever, but I don't think he will. I think he'll just try and soak the pressure.
Yeah.
You know, I would tell you what, I'd like to see England be a bit cautious, Southgate-itis, right? And then let the Spanish run around and then do what he's did before, because we can always bring pace on to really go for it in the last 20 minutes.
But Rice did say today, I mean, I don't think it's an indication of the game, but he did say we won't sit back or something. I can't remember what the quotes were exactly, but along the lines of...
You don't see us going toe-to-toe with them either. Yeah. With a 3-4-3, and you've got Nico Williams on one wing and Yamal on the other, right? We may well... I mean, actually, let's be fair. Coming into this tournament, I was not terrified, but I was very concerned about our defence. And actually, our defence has played well in this tournament, you know.
It's been the best part of the game, really. But I disagree. I think we should go for it, because we've got to score more goals than them, because they've got goals in them. Every time they attack, they look like they're going to score the Spanish, right? Their movement is fabulous. We've got to match them. We've got to match them on movement. We've got to match them on aggression. We've got to match on possession of the ball. We've got to try and get dominant, because if we let them play, they're going to batter us.
I just think the thing is, though, both teams have come back from losing 1-0 down, come back to win. So we need to let them score first so we can come back again. Obviously, if we score first, they're going to win.
I don't like being 1-0 down. It makes me nervous, right?
I know, but, you know, we've played better when we've gone 1-0 down.
Definitely, because they back up their ideas, didn't they?
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't change our midfield a bit. I think we might go a little bit more defensive in midfield.
He went 3-4-3. I'd like us to go 3-5-2.
I want to see Eze play. I want to see Eze play.
Kane will start.
Kane will start. Yeah. I'd have Kane in the middle of the five. I'd have him in the middle of the five. But we need to stick an extra body in. And when we have done it, and as it hasn't worked with a midfield pivot of two, you need to get that third one in a minimum. Even if, you know, so then you can have the 3-5-2. And then I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot of responsibility on the wing backs, come half backs, and that to contain Nico Williams and Yamal. Now, in good games, your wing backs, when it works, your wing backs push them back and nullify their effect. You know, that's what happens when things work for you. When they don't, you get pushed back. You get pushed right back as well, because they're dominating. Like, so a little kick or a yellow card. I'm not. You know,
is Yamal against Walker?
On
the other side?
No, Williams is on the left for them, isn't he?
Yeah.
I was thinking if it was, I mean,
Lamar to the right, and then
that's going to make him think a little bit more. If he's up against Walker, he's not going to be as effective, hopefully, as what he has been.
And if we could get someone to stick close to Rodri.
Was Trippier injured? Was Trippier injured, or did he just come off as a substitute?
I think he was just knackered.
He got injured, I think.
I'm going to say, because he came off at half time, didn't he?
Yeah, he got a knock.
So I mean, if he's missing, that could be a big miss for us, because I think he'll be.
I would play Shaw anyway. I would play Shaw until he ran out of gas. I wouldn't say that, because if Shaw comes on and gives you 25, 30 minutes, you don't know if he could give you a half hour, an hour, you know? Yeah. So I'd play Shaw from the start. And if he runs out of gas, they'll know. They take all the stats with the computers, with players' bras on and all that shit. So like when then you could say, okay, no, he's tiring. He's tiring. So no, I would start Shaw. And if he only lasts an hour, then take him off. I wouldn't bring him on in the other way around. I wouldn't do that. But,
and I agree with Dan here. We sit back, they will do us 3-4-2-1 and go for them. Spain are the first quality team we're playing. We've got to go for it. We are capable of it. Yeah, because we can match them. We can match them. Maybe they've got a little bit extra juice up front in terms of the way they've been scoring, but we can match them. And if Harry Kane's on form, and we have Ollie Watkins come on later on in the game, we can match them in every area of the pitch. And we've got a fantastic... The defence has been playing well, especially Walker and Guéhi. They've been good, but Stones has been okay as well. It's just Trippier. he's playing on the left and he likes to play on the right. So I think Luke Shaw, natural left winger, he's going to give us more balance, isn't he, lads?
I think Trips has burnt out.
The thing is, with it, this Spanish team will dominate the ball, and doesn't matter about saying let's go for it. We might not have a chance to just go for it. I think, it's going to be one of those games where hitting them on the break is going to be essential, and being clinical is essential.
I think that's one thing I'll say. If we get a chance, we must take it. Yeah,
I mean,
if they score first, don't let them get a second.
No. Well, I mean, the thing is, it's one of those where you've just got to play to the match, and they're going to be dominant with the ball. It's as simple as that. So,
you say that, but we've got players who can dominate the ball as well. Right?
Oh yeah, but the thing is that that's how they play. Once they have it, they don't lose it very easily.
Yeah, they're a bit Man City-like, aren't they? The way they move the ball. They're probably more accurate at passing than us, and their movement is a lot more swifter. But we've got to match them in terms of aggression as well, because they've got Rodri in that midfield. If we can win that battle in midfield, we'll give ourselves more of a chance to get forward. With Bellingham, once it goes to our top three, we've got every chance of putting it in the back of the net.
Well, the thing with that
I want to see Ollie Watkins start, actually.
Midfield is going to be the major battle.
The thing is, you're going to have to kind of do what Holland did to us and stink the game out with Spain. It's, I mean, it's like going up against City toe to toe. Not many teams actually come out on top, and it's the same playing Spain. That it's one of those games where you are going to have to stifle it. Because if you've got two teams going for it, hammer and tong, it's just a lottery who wins it. Then, to me, we've got to play to our strengths, and when we have the ball, we've got to be clinical. That's the difference. We can't afford to mess up too many chances. We can't afford to have too many mistakes. We
won't get that many chances.
Yeah,
we will not get that many chances.
No,
and so the ones we get, you've got to be clinical. You got to score, basically.
Have a read of that one, Adrian, since you're reading the chats.
Hang on.
Just had Alan just join us.
Yeah, I just sent him the link. I just sent Alan Clark the link if he's listening. I sent him the link. I sent Danny the link if he wants to come on. But I mean,
come on, lads, and join us. But do you want to read that, Adrian?
All right. Big up the chat and the panel. Please smash the button, everyone. As long as we don't shut up shop and sit back like we have in big games, I might be able to accept the result, maybe. I think, listen, us England fans are a bit like Spurs fans. We're entitled to feel, underwhelmed, to be polite, aren't we? And I want the win. If Southgate gets the win, everything's in his favour. Apparently, FA still want to give him a 2-year contract. I see why they want to do it, because they know there is. Who else is out there that's English? That there's no one. There isn't anyone.
I don't care how we play. If we win, I don't care how we play.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those that yes, it's going to be nice if we go out and play them off the pitch and win. But I'd rather play crap and win than play great and lose.
I think for me, the first 20 minutes of the game is the most important, because I think if Spain come out at England for 20 minutes, they have to just weather this first spell of the storm. Yeah. And then if they can just build themselves into the game, because every Spanish game I've watched, and I've watched almost every game for the Euros, by the way, because I've been off pretty much since then on holiday.
Did you back off work or was it holiday?
Right? I said like 3 weeks off work, so yeah, I've basically seen every game.
Apart from the Serbia game, it's the only game we've scored first, isn't it?
I was going to say, what do you mean work? Don't you mean school holidays?
No.
College is broken up now, haven't they?
But anyway, so like for me, Spain have every game they've come out and just dominated the ball. So England have to just weather that first 20 minutes, and then if they can do that and just get more confident within the game, I think they have a good chance.
Where's he gone?
Welcome, Dan.
Welcome, Dan.
Big up, Dan.
You're right.
You're all right, how you doing?
You've been likened to Danny Dyer recently, Dan.
Don't worry about it. I've had that all my life.
I'm with you though, Dan. I'm glad you backed me
What's
up
that?
there because about going for it. Because I reckon if we sit back,
right.
we're going to get mullered. They're going to just batter us.
They will pick us off eventually.
If we don't go
got
at
a
this
match
lot,
on.
we're gonna get. If we don't go at this lot, they are good enough, unlike all the other teams we've played, to pick us apart.
Yeah.
If we're going to be honest with ourselves, we've played bang average teams. Holland were an average team, if we're going to be honest, apart from the defence. Southgate got it right in the first half. I don't think he should have gone defensive in the second half. Nearly cost us, but he made the right decisions in the end. So credit where it's due. Fair play on the man. And we got to go at it. That's where we looked our strongest when we played Holland, when we went at them, not when we sat back. And you go and do that against an actual good team, best team of the tournament so far,
Do you
basically.
really think we
Spain.
sat back? I would have said that Holland stifled the game and made it so we couldn't attack the same, rather than we sat.
What happened? If you actually check it, what happened? We started off with a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-4-3, whatever you want to call it. They started 4-2-3-1. In the second half, we went 4-2-3-1. They went 3-4-3. So we sat back in the second bit and changed our formation. We basically swapped over formations, and all of a sudden they were doing all the attacking on us. Didn't dominate the second half.
I think what changed it in their favour helped them get back in the game when they took Memphis Depay and Vernon came in the midfield.
Yeah, when he was injured. When that extra midfielder.
And Southgate, I wouldn't mind that. I thought, well, how's this going to go for 5 or 10 minutes? Now they've really taken off an attacker. But as you're right, Dan, in the second half, we didn't really get to grips with that change. And I think
we went to 4 at the back.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how Southgate's going to set up Sunday. No one knows. They'll think of all different options, as they should, going into a final. What is the best system to play against the Spanish? Now, then you got to say, well, are we going to be positive about this, negative about it, or just neutral about this, the way we set up? I mean, I don't know how he's going to set up. Right. So how do you guys think he's going to set up? Do you think he'll go back to a back 4 and go 4-3-3? We need 3 in midfield, in my opinion.
I hope not. Keep Trippier off. He done the right move on taking Trippier off. He didn't take him off for injury. He took Trippier off because he was the worst on our side. And Luke Shaw actually looked all right when he came on. He looked better than Trippier anyway. Trippier is just basically like having with Kulusevski up on the right. It's exactly the same thing. He's on the wrong side for his foot and he has to step to the other side. They can already read it. I think you should start Luke Shaw. And if I'm going to be gospel honest, I wouldn't start Harry Kane. I don't think he's fit enough. I honestly, I think he took
Ian says that as well, actually. EMF says that he doesn't think Harry Kane's fit enough.
He took, what was it, 3 games before the end of the season, 2 games before the end. I knew he took a knock in Germany and they was a bit worried about him because he'd done his back or something. Yeah, that's right. And Kane has not been Kane. He has not been. He hasn't even been reading the game like he does. He should start Watkins.
Do you think he should drop Kane, Soren?
No.
Start Watkins and possibly Ivan Toney.
I don't think you should drop Kane at all because it's Kane. I see where Dan's coming from, but I think Kane does so much more in the game as well. You know, it's not just there for his goals. He's there for his all and out playing. And I mean, the thing with Trippier was taken off as a precaution because of his groin injury. So it wasn't just a tactical substitution. But no, I would keep Kane on because I think he's the sort of player. I mean, we joked about it earlier that, you know, he doesn't really turn up for the big games, but I think I played Kane to start with, and if he's still not doing it, you substitute him. Maybe a bit earlier than what has been substituted, though. But
yeah, I can go with that.
I just couldn't I can't visage Southgate in any circumstance with a fit Kane. Obviously, we know he's not fit as he should be, but
no,
I just don't see him. I just don't see him not starting. I really don't.
But if Kane ain't fit and Southgate starts him, won't he be making the same mistake that Pochettino made in the Champions League final?
No, because I think it's a bit different. I think with Kane at the moment, I think it's more tired rather than not fit because of an injury. I mean, I could be wrong. He maybe is carrying something. I don't know. But to me, even though he's not firing on all cylinders, he's still putting something in there. You know what I mean? He's still putting a few decent passes in. He's still doing the chasing down. And he's still giving other players the chances. And I just kind of see that you take Kane out. And look, I mean, we saw what Ollie Watkins can do and things like that. But I just think he's got to start.
Yeah.
He's got
One last thing with that then. When you're going against Spain, what you'll notice with them is they're a lot faster than all the other teams we've played. Tenfold. Right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Kane can't run come love nor money anyway.
No, but he can put that past.
Okay, but to who? There's no one else in the middle to put it to. That's where he's meant to be. And that's what the problem's been a few times when he has it.
When we were playing well in that first half, he was spraying balls out to Saka to the left and right.
Yeah.
You can't do that. I mean, I've been saying, that Mainoo's played well. I'd like to put the extra man. I'd like to have three in midfield. I just think we need that for Bellingham. I'd bring him back as the ball carrying number 8, Gaza style. Bring him back. Then you could play. Right, Kane and Watkins. But then you've got to drop Mainoo, who played really well.
Yeah.
You could play Kane as a 10 because Kane's going to play as a 10 whether you pick him as a 9 or not.
Yeah.
He's going to play. He's going to drop back, right? So he's going to do that. So if he's going to play as a 10 and you know he's going to do that, Foden actually showed at long last, because I'm such a big fan of him, actually showed what he could do in that game when he quick feet nearly scored the goal.
Because we put him in the right position, didn't we?
Yeah.
We finally put him in his right position.
And then with Saka, who I've been highly critical of, so shows I don't know anything about football because I've been highly critical of Saka. But then you could play Watkins in front to run behind the lines. And I just think that would give Spain problems. But I just don't see Southgate changing the team that got to the final.
He's not brave enough. He's not brave enough.
I want Shaw to start because you play him for an hour, even if he runs out of gas. Like I said earlier, if you play him for 20 minutes, half hour, and he's still got gas in the tank, why didn't you play him earlier? And with Trippier, when he goes forward, he's more inclined to cut into the midfield on his right foot. And then you got Foden there, right? And you got Bellingham there as well. And it all gets a little bit congested. When you want people to find space a bit wide, there's less chance of Trippier going down to the left corner flag. I've seen Bellingham end up down on the left side more than I have Trippier, you know.
What would you say is Spain's weakest point? What would you say is their weakest point?
It's a job to find any.
No,
I can tell you what it is.
Look, when they attack, you can hit balls over the top to their wingers and down the flanks. You can hit balls over the top because they attack so much. But that means you've got to have a system. You don't have to be total sit back, low block and counter attack. But it means you've got to be prepared for that. So your midfielders are those people that have got their foot on the ball, are waiting. Okay, we're under pressure. I've dropped back. Right, now we've got the ball. I'm pinging it out to the wing. Right, and I think to beat Spain, we beat them on the wings.
I think it's a bit different. I think their weakest point, they got solid defence, but they got a slow defence. But they do push forward. So why don't we go and do to them what everybody does to Spurs and put it straight over the top? The difference is they haven't got a Van de Ven to run back on it. And if we've got a Watkins in the middle to run onto it, we've got pace that can really trouble their defence if they push up.
Yeah,
because they haven't got the pace.
That kind of contradicts what was said earlier, where you're saying we should be going at them, and then now you're kind of saying put it over the top, which I agree with. I think we need to kind of sit back, not sit back deep, but sit back and hit them on the break. But I think if we go at them, not gung ho, but if we go at them, that's when they'll pick us off, and They're quite quick at their attacking.
No, you got a fair point, mate. You got a fair point. It can go either way.
Who have we got? Anyone in our team that can nullify Rodri, that can stop him from dictating the pace of the game? Anyone?
No.
If we can stop Rodri, I think we're going a good way of winning.
If you're gonna go down that lane, you've got to probably bring Gallagher on.
You know what? The only way you're stopping Rodri is if you take him out.
Yeah,
that's the only way you're doing it.
Oh,
I know that might sound.
Like I said earlier, there is so much more to come from this squad of players. We know they can play even more better, and they've got higher ceilings, and they're going to have to do it in the final because Spain are at least 3 levels above us. So, I mean,
but they could have an off game.
True. They could have a player sent off. We could get a penalty.
Look at it against Turkey.
Another dodgy penalty.
Turkey could have won that game. Had they been a better team, Turkey could have won that game.
Yeah.
But
Spain.
What do you think? How do you think we can beat Spain? Do you think we have to nullify Rodri? Do you think our best chance is down the wings or what?
Well, I think it's on the counter attack more than anything else.
Yeah. I think
if we
most English fans are thinking that.
But then you can't sit back too deep. So
no, but not adopt
it's a thin line, isn't it? It's a thin line.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna have to manage it like in spells, if that makes sense. Like the first 20 minutes, I think Spain will have dominate the ball, so you're gonna have to just be solid for like 20 minutes.
They will not sit back. They don't know how to.
No,
they never did. They never.
Yeah, I think has it's on the nail there. You've got to, the first 20 minutes. We've just not got to concede.
Yeah, basically they get through the first 20. And then.
You just got to slowly. You just got to slowly try and grow into the game. Stick a few passes together. If the chances is there, this is why I agree with playing Watkins. If they're pushing forward, stick one over the top and let him run onto it. As long as it's a good enough ball that you can obviously get on the end of it.
The thing is, with that, though,
just grow into the game slowly.
Yeah, but Spain are going to have a lot of the ball.
Oh, of course they will.
So you kind of need that Harry Kane person there to hold the ball up a little bit as well to make sure if it goes forward, it doesn't come straight back again.
Yeah.
And that's why, whether it's Harry Kane holding it up or whether it's Harry Kane spraying the ball out to the wings or whatever, that's why I think Kane has got to have a good game.
Is he capable of having a good game?
Well,
he hasn't had one yet.
No, I was just about to say he hasn't had one yet.
But then Southgate said he had fitness issues anyway.
Top scorer, guys. He's top scorer.
Yeah.
3 goals. He's top. But you see, same thing we had at Spurs. Didn't turn up in finals. Well, fine. It depends. We've always expected more of Harry Kane as being more of a striker than as helping out elsewhere. Because to say he's not turn up, otherwise it was just a striker and just a tapping merchant. You could turn around and say, well, okay, how many chances was he given and did he miss any? But we expect much more of a Kane because he is. He's probably one of the best number 10s in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Kane in this tournament, for me, he's missed tons of chances where he should have been there. Just in not against Holland, game before Switzerland, Saka put the ball across the line 3 times, and at least 2 of those times, Kane would have usually read that and been straight on.
And Jared Bowen, I mean, he should have scored that one.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, that as well. Kane is not on his form.
No,
and that is all there is to it on that one. Yeah, he's had a moment here and there, but he has not been Kane. He's not he's not up to standards. So I know no one wants to take him off. I don't want to take him off. But
he's England captain, no, Dan. He's not going to get dropped, is he? He's not.
But then that's where the manager's got to have the balls to sit there and say, "You ain't fit enough, mate. Yeah. I'm going to do what's right for the team, not what's right for Harry Kane."
Well, you do it at half time.
Some of the times,
we don't know.
Some of the times when Saka was crossing it in, Harry wasn't even in the box.
Yeah, and he usually reads the game because he hasn't got no place. He has to read the game. And that's what I'm saying. He wasn't there for the ball when 9 times out of 10 he was always there, wasn't he?
He just looks. He just looks like his movement's gone. Yeah, yeah, that's the word I was thinking of. Sluggish. He's not got the, I mean, with them crosses,
he looks unfit.
Yeah, you'd expect Harry just to be there and nod it in, but he's just not on it. I've got Champions League final vibes, like when he played when he was 50% fit, and he should never have played.
But Southgate said that he wasn't fit. I can't remember where I saw it, but he said that something like.
The thing is, though, with Harry Kane, I mean, I agree with you about Champions League final. He shouldn't have played that, but it's a totally different scenario. He came back from an injury, and that was his first game back, straight into the team. He is playing at the moment. Whether it's tiredness, whether he's carrying some niggle or what, I agree with you. He's not on form. He's not in himself. But how many times have we seen Kane do that for Spurs, where he's been absent for game after game, and then all of a sudden he comes and he just clicks? I mean, it's the final. I just, had he not played up to now and he'd been he'd been out because of an injury, and we say bring him back for the final, I would totally agree that we shouldn't bring him back. But I just think for the player that he is, and he's, I mean, to me, he has to start that final.
Okay. You look at the difference, though. You look at the difference when Gareth made them changes and they took Harry off.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean
one ball and he scored.
But it doesn't mean to say that if he's on for the full match that it will be the same. To me, you bring Ollie Watkins on when Spain are maybe getting a bit more tired.
I can understand that side with the pace, yeah. But look, we ain't going to get the amount of chances that we have had in certain games where Kane should have been there to put it in the back of the net, yeah? We need to have somebody there who can, even if it just comes to tapping it in the back of the net, like he should have been for 3 of those in Switzerland alone. Yeah. And I don't think Kane does not come off that pitch usually. That's 2 games on the trot now he's been taken off. He even took him off just before penalties. Something is not right there. He looks sluggish, he looks unfit, and he looks mentally drained. Even just the way he looks, even the way he's not reading the game, he does not look right. I personally, I don't think. How do I look? Just because we know he's the best, but just because you're Harry Kane,
because of that when he went into the drinks or whatever, and he did his calf, didn't he? It felt something on his calf. So he was brought off for that reason, and like. I think he even admitted he was knackered.
He's had a knock as well then. Just because he's Harry Kane, it doesn't mean he's got the right to start.
No, I agree with you.
I'm the first to say he can pull something out of nothing. I know.
Well, guys, then let me ask you this then, because it's a good point. Good point's been discussed here, right? Do you think that because we're in a final, that Southgate will be more proactive and reactive to events during the game? So regarding substitution and all that, do you think he'll make them earlier? Do you think he'll have a greater sense of urgency, or do you think we'll just see the same Southgate?
Was that a joke?
No.
Was that a joke, that question?
No, it's not a joke.
I thought you were taking a piss or something then for a bit.
No.
I was going to say, I just read now because I thought I'd just Google Harry Kane's fitness. He had a back injury in May.
In Germany.
And there was a story saying he needs to work himself back to full fitness. I think he's still carrying the injury.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I can tell anyone for a fact, and I'm sure there's probably 1 or 2 in here that can vouch for me. Once you've done your back, you've done it. You never fix it again. You'll only get it 90% fixed. Once you do it again, once you get it done again, you'll only get it 90% fixed to that. So you've now lost 20% of your back. Whatever injury you get to your back, you will never ever fix that. Never.
It depends whether it's a muscle pull or something. If it's a muscle pull. But if it's a proper back injury, you're 100% right. If it's a muscle pull or something like that, then you will get back. But to answer Adrian's question, no, I don't think he'll change a single thing.
No, he's too boring to change anything.
Right, okay. What we do now, we'll get your predictions. Right, this is a minefield predictions. I'm clueless on this myself, I've got to admit. We'll get your predictions and just formations. Do you think it'll be 3-4-3? Do you think it'll be 4-2-3-1? So We'll start with Dan. Dan, what do you think the lineup? What do you think the system will be? And give us your score prediction. We've got lots to get through, loads to get through.
Right. I think Southgate, okay, he got it right in the last game, but for me, he's got to do a lot more before he gets credit off of me. He's had it easy all the time. And when it's always come to the crunch, when we've played a team of our standards as such or whatever, he's always folded. I think he'll go back to a 4-2-3-1. I think we are going to get absolutely wiped the floor with, and we will win it 1-0. That is what I think is going to happen. I think they are going to run us ragged, but for some reason can't put it in the back of the net, and we will just score that one goal, not deserve it, but we will win it, and we won't care. I think we're going to win it 1-0, and it's going to be dirty.
Has your next prediction?
So I think he'll play for it at the back, but I do think he will lose 2-1 in extra time. I think Kane will probably score a penalty to equalise. I think Spain will probably score first. And I just think they'll score a wonder goal in extra time and win it.
Right. Nothing changes with you, mate. You do the same with Spurs. Soren. Come on, Mod Soren. Come on, Mod Soren.
I'm going to kind of go exactly how Dan said, but I'm going to go with a 2-1 scoreline to England. I think it's going to be... We're going to be under the pressure. I think it's going to be a hard game. It will be won in 90 minutes. Kane's going to score, probably come off, and then I could see something like a Saka or a Foden winning it in the last few minutes.
Or Palmer.
Yeah,
I'm going to come to Mark now because you thought I was taking the piss earlier.
What?
Go on, Mark. System, scoreline. Come on.
It was the point you made about will Gareth change anything? We all know he won't.
He might change his shirt.
Well, yeah. And the waistcoat might come out.
Right.
You never know.
It'll be
You never know.
And after the game, he needs to change his underwear as well.
Yeah. I'd like to see...
Go on.
I'd like to see 3 at the back because that seemed to work. But, I mean... In all fairness, the way Spain have been playing, they're going to be all over us. They're going to be all over us like a rash. But obviously I'm English, so I hope England win. I will say 2-1 to England, but it wouldn't surprise me if we lost 2-1. To be honest, because Spain have been by far the better team.
I'm going to go 4-3-3. The reason I'm going 4 at the back is to counter the threat of Spain on the wings. Going to go 4-3-3. You've still got your left side and right side of midfield to cover it as well. So I'm going to go. He'll go 4-3-3, and I'm going to go 4-3-2. England win.
3-2.
Yeah. I think it'll be that sort of a game, and I think
so. We're getting 3 penalties.
Probably. Right now, in my run sheet, because I've got 3 pages of it, so we've got plenty to talk about, and I'll carry on as long as you guys are interested in it. So. I want to move on to the Copa America, guys. We know the final now is Argentina versus Colombia, but I don't think we'll escape any of you of the incident that happened. Anyone realise what happened?
Yeah.
Right.
I heard about it. I haven't seen anything. I heard.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen it.
Roger Bentancur threw the glass bottle in there.
Yeah.
Rodrigo
smashed the fan straight in the head.
No, his own coach.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was a fan that he got.
Yeah, no, it was.
We'll have a good discussion about it, guys, because it affects our particular player because we've had the racial incident, we've now had this, right, and all that. So, right, these are my notes, right? Roger Bentancur has been named among 11 Uruguay players after disciplinary investigations were opened following the ugly scenes after the Copa America semi-final against Colombia. The 11 players are Jose Marina Gimenez, Sebastian Caceres, Ronaldo Araujo, Rodrigo Bentancur, Facundo Pellegrini, Matias Olivier, Matias Vina, Rain Rodriguez, Darwin Núñez, Emiliano Martinez, Santiago Melo. Each of the players' names is accompanied by film evidence and the reason for which a disciplinary file is open. The AUF will have until Wednesday, July the 17th, to present their defences in writing. After that day, the period begin with CONMEBA, it's the body, to study and resolve whether or not to sanction each of the aforementioned players. Right. Did you all see this? Because I haven't watched it. I've got to be honest, I didn't watch any of the video. I've read enough of the reports, though, so I know. Did you all watch this? Did you? Have you all
I
seen
haven't
it?
seen any of it.
I haven't seen it, so
No, I haven't seen none of it.
Soren, you've seen
I know
it?
about it, but
I've seen bits of it, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll start with you then. We'll start with you then. Right. So, your take on the incident, on the video you've seen?
From what I saw, it's really hard to justify and also slate what happened, because I'm under the impression that basically the two sets of fans kind of set upon each other, but the players' families were kind of caught up in that area.
Yeah.
And as somebody with a family myself, if I saw anything threatening my family, I would do exactly the same. Now, that's not condoning what Bentancur did, because I think what he's done is absolutely stupid by picking up a glass bottle, throwing it, and from my understanding, it's hit one of his own coaches, and that's who's got the cut. But then, after doing that, to pick up yet another bottle and throw that into the crowd, then I don't know.
already hit a spectator.
Well, it could have possibly hit. I think, from what I understand, is it went past somebody's and hit the coach. Now, it could have hit, but then the second bottle may have hit somebody in the as a spectator. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you're throwing a bottle into the crowd, then chances are it's going to hit a spectator. But the person that got the cut is one of the coaches of his own team. And from what I think Ali Gold was talking about it earlier, to say millimeters lower, he would have lost his eyesight. And I know what that's like, because I've had the same. So I don't know how you condone most of the actions, but I can understand it if their families are involved or under threat from...
Am I right in saying a chair was thrown as well?
I think there's been all sorts chucked.
Let's face it. Let's face it. Unless you're Phil Taylor and you chuck a ball, you're not going to hit your target, are you? It's just going to land somewhere randomly in the crowd.
Well, I think that was Bentancur's idea, that he was literally chucking it into the crowd. But the thing is,
that could have hit a kid in the face.
Well, it could have done.
Yeah, but it was chucked into a crowd which contained both his own fans and the opponent's fans.
Yeah. And the family as well, wasn't it? And the players' family.
Yeah.
It makes... Yeah, I think Nunes was it Nunes or Darwin, whoever was...
Nunes threw a chair.
Nunes got in there, started throwing the punches and that.
Yeah, because who was talking about it? And there was, I think it was Jose earlier. He had he didn't show the video, but he was watching the video. No, it was Colin, his partner. And he said that Nunes was throwing or the person that was in the crowd, I think it might have been Nunes, was in the crowd, and he was throwing punches, but someone caught him a good one right on the jaw.
I mean, I've seen him throwing the punches, definitely.
And apparently he gets cracked on the jaw as well.
Well, I mean, if you go into a crowd of fans from the opposite team, you're going to get it out,
Yeah.
But if they've gone in to protect the families, then you kind of...
Well, they all did Eric Dyer, didn't they?
Yeah,
that's what I thought when I heard the thing about...
What gets Bentancur getting involved is he's bloody injured again as well. I mean, what you're doing, you I mean, I don't know what injury it is, but it doesn't sound like a good one. Well,
dislocated. He dislocated his shoulder throwing that bottle.
No, but I mean, he came off from being injured, didn't he?
Did he? I don't know.
Yeah, he was substituted after 35 minutes, I believe, through an injury, which doesn't.
I think Bence was on borrowed time now, to be honest.
Well, I think that's depending what happens here, because you kind of look at it and think there's going to be an international ban. I mean, it might not be as severe as it could be for a lot of the players, but I think for Bentancur, getting filmed, chucking 2 bottles into a crowd, there's not much defence. First one, you can say, yeah, I was stupid, I'm sorry. When you pick up a second bottle after injuring your own coach, then there's not much defence for that, is there?
I mean, you could have understood it if he'd have climbed into the crowd and started hitting people. You could have understood that a little bit.
Yeah,
you shouldn't do that as well. But
throwing the bottle in the crowd, throwing the bottle in the crowds. I don't care. That could have been a little girl, a little boy, whatever, straight in the face and ruined his life. So I don't condone the first one he done.
I don't think there's anyone of us here that wouldn't have steamed into a crowd to protect our own families.
I'm not disputing. I'm not disputing that.
But not throwing a bottle.
I'm not condoning it. I'm not condoning it. I would have done it and took the punishment, right? Yeah. Definitely, because it's your family, right? But you can't do that.
In the crowd, but you don't throw the bottle.
The way you're entitled to due care and attention when, even if you invite someone into your house, right? In UK law, so especially on stadium premises as well. So I see the repercussions going towards whoever's responsible for the stadium and security.
Well, there was none.
Well,
no, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
No, there were
the thing is, without being funny, when you've got 2 South American teams like them, Uruguay and Colombia, you don't not put some sort of security into that ground, because it's not like over here when was it Colombia that had the death threats and got half the players shot or something?
Yeah, Escobar got shot, didn't he? Escobar
got knocked out. I mean, you don't have teams and sets of fans like that and not put. I mean, and you can't blame the stewards. The steward, I think there was 2 or 3 stewards. Yeah, where's the police? Where's the riot police and things like that?
You're right. You see the thing with the stewards, yeah. I've done door work myself, done it for a good few years and that, yeah. And I tell you one thing: when you got like 8, 9 people kicking off in front of you and you're standing there on your own, you ain't getting paid enough to go stand in the middle of that, let alone the bloody steward doing it. You wait for 5 of your mates to turn up, or a couple of your mates to turn up before you do anything, or you wait until they leg it and you pick up the one off the floor. Just being a steward and that, and the whole crowd goes off, I ain't getting involved in that. No, not a chance.
Yeah, and the thing is they haven't got a vested interest to go and wade in. I mean, you're there just
different culture as well. Totally different culture and society, isn't it? I mean, out there, look at what happens when it's Boca Juniors and River Plate. People die in those games on a regular basis, outside and inside the bloody stadium.
That's what I say. Where knowing the history of these South American teams, where were the riot police? Where are the police? It's not just 2 teams. It's not like, say, England playing Australia. There's no hatred there. There is hatred within these South American teams.
Yeah. I'm not condoning Bentancur's action. We know him as a he's my favourite midfield player at Spurs, unfortunately, right? But when he's fit, but okay, we had the incidents with Sonny and him in South America saying, "Oh, they all look the same," blah blah blah. Now, I get that in American redneck states and in South America, they're probably where the UK was in the 70s or the late 60s regard that. I mean, we used to have programs like Mind Your Language, It Ain't Our Fault, Mum, and players. We did. And now if you'd cringe if you watch them today, you know what I mean? If you see them, right? So things have changed here. In those countries it hasn't. And we know in Eastern Europe there's a lot of racism. It hasn't changed.
It's terrible. It's terrible in Eastern Europe.
Yeah. So we know that. So I'm not condoning what Bentancur done. I'm just want a consensus of do you think that's going to affect his career at Spurs? Do you think it's a threat to his career at Spurs? Go on, Dan. Go on.
I've just got to be careful how I say this one, yeah?
We all have when issues like this, Dan.
Oh, yeah, that's just it, yeah? But in his culture, i.e. Uruguay, whatever and that, yeah? He didn't make a racist comment. There was no racism meant in the comment. It was just a sarcastic dig. Whereas in another culture...
Just to add to it, which is an important thing, it didn't get picked up by South American press. It got picked up by Asian press.
Exactly.
They wanted to pick it up, right? Whereas they accept that in their culture, so it doesn't happen.
Exactly. He did not mean it as a... I'm not making nothing right, yeah? We all know how the world is in these generations and everything and that. But he did not actually make it meant as a racist comment. He just meant it as a sarcastic wind up to his mate. Whereas on this side of the planet, that's taken as a racist comment these days, and people take offense to that, which is perfectly acceptable and understandable. So this is where I think we need to thin this line out of racism. Was it actually a dirty racist comment, or was it just a sarcastic comment to his mate that was actually more offensive than he actually realized because of two different cultures?
I think it was wrong. I just think it was an off-the-cuff remark. I just think it was an off-the-cuff remark. He didn't think nothing of it, or that he was doing anything wrong by saying it.
That's what I'm basically saying.
Can I just point something out here, though? And I agree with what Dan's just said, but
not making him right.
To caveat that, he has been in this country now long enough to know that that comment would be taken that way.
Fair point.
I think when we talk about racism, it's got to the point where there are kind of no excuses anymore. And I fully agree with what Dan said and how he said it. But I just think when you're a player that, or anybody that is involved in this country or in any part of Europe today, and I know it's bad in Europe but you know the difference between right and wrong now. And he should know the difference between right and wrong. And I get that it might have been a slip of the tongue. And I get that he maybe didn't mean it in the way that a lot of people have taken it. But today, in this civilization, you cannot do that anymore.
No, I agree. That's why I was saying.
And it also depends, where do you think, how far does jurisdiction stretch? I mean, does that mean that wherever you are on the planet, that you are, you are responsible at all times from whether you're employed by whatever you're employed.
Adrian,
what you're doing, or not. I'm just asking the question.
It goes by law at the end of the day. Yeah, in Uruguay you can say that stuff. So if that's where he said it, technically he did nothing wrong, but we all know he did. Yeah. So his country probably wouldn't do nothing about it because they don't see that as an issue. Yeah. Whereas we do. But if it happened over there, can we actually deal with it, or can UEFA deal with it? I don't know.
Well, I'm going to stir the pot a bit more, guys, because apparently, if this is true on my notes, right, that there will be organised protests in Japan and Korea, which is understandable.
Because of what he said.
No, I'm talking about Spurs pre-season tour.
Oh, all right.
So, do you think Bentancur will be on the trip, or will Spurs keep him far away from it? If they know it's going to give him bad PR, Levy's wanker.
Right? He's gone.
He won't be playing because he's injured. But
that as well.
At the end of the day,
there still might be a protest, whether he's there or not.
The same as us going to a South American country and making the same comment and saying, well, it's all right because it's allowed over there. No, it doesn't make it okay. The guy
I just want to say something about the whole Bentancur thing before I go, because I need to go.
And thanks for coming on, House, as well.
Yeah, in my opinion, I'm more when Dan's coming in the sense that I think he meant it as a joke, but to caveat that, because he's someone in the public eye, I think this is my take on it. He needs to be more aware of what he's saying, and where he's saying it, and also in this social media world we live in now. Yeah, everything he says gets clipped, so even if it didn't get picked up then, someone else will pick it up online and it will go viral that way. So
he should have known better, basically.
I'm not saying that what he said, the way he said it, because if you watch the video, I thought he meant it as a joke as well, if I'm being honest. And if someone says something, say, about Greeks to me in a jokey way, I wouldn't be offended by it, right?
No, but the thing is, you might not, but somebody else will be. That's the problem.
What I'm saying is, because he's someone in the public eye, he should be more aware of what he's saying, basically.
But I mean,
he tries to talk himself into trouble, even though he didn't actually mean it. And I don't think he meant it in that way, anyway. But
I think it's one of those things that in today's civilization, this is the problem that a certain amount of people won't take it offensively, and a certain amount of people want it to be offensive. So they will take it offensively. The problem is you cannot, it doesn't matter whether you're in the public eye or not, you cannot allow yourself to upset the minority or the minority, whichever way you want to put it.
But it's because he's in the public eye. That's what I'm trying to say.
But
if he was just like me and you,
not in the public eye, you still can't do it. That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying if it was me and you on the street, like I that's what the example I'm trying to give. Like if someone made a joke about Greeks to me, like you did or something, I wouldn't take offense to it. But
no, but this is what I'm saying though. You might not, but if I said it to somebody else that was Greek, they would. This is what I'm saying.
It's a tender subject, where it's all ifs, buts, can be, someone will, someone won't, and everything else. Some of the things my mates have said to me, and some of the things I've said to them, and it's all banter.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Whereas the person standing next to us,
but hold on, private locker room conversations are
exactly,
neutral.
And that's what I'm about to agree with what Hazard said.
I mean,
where he
I want your
of the
opinion
public
now.
eye,
I want your opinion now.
should know better.
And we'll come for all of you, and I'll give mine afterwards, obviously. What sanctions do you think should happen to these, not just Bentancur, these Uruguayan players? The other racist incident, off the cuff incident, I'll call it. What sanctions do you think should happen to these players? And the stadium owners, obviously, of course.
I think, well, for a start, there was no segregation between the fans at that stadium that I find completely mystifying, because we all know what South American football is like. It's like Dan said, like you go to a Boca Juniors and the other team's game, like people die regularly. You know, I mean, it's mad. It's mad. And there was no segregation in that game whatsoever. So all the fans were mixed in together. Like, to be honest, what's going to come out of that game, the one that's going to get punished the most, in my opinion, is Bentancur, because he picked up an object, well, two objects, and threw them in the crowd. You know, I mean,
I don't agree with that at all. That was just madness.
Well, to be honest, like, all right, Nunes did a Dyer and went in there and started throwing punches, but like, well, personally, I believe it's worse when you just pick up bottles and start chucking them in the crowd. You know, because at least if you're in the crowd having a fight, you're going to fight the ones that you think are the perpetrators. You're not just going to randomly lob objects in the crowd.
The video evidence will determine if people get punished more severely than others. Of course.
And as far as the racism thing goes with Bentancur, I just think he needs like lessons. You know, what to say and what not to say, you know, because he's in the public eye. He's in the public eye all the time.
He's gone. He's gone. So we've got
There's no way staying. You're right. There's no way.
No, we've got too much of a good connection with South Korea to let that go.
I disagree. Go on, Karen. Make your point. I disagree with that. But mate, Naz, sorry, your point. You said you were going to go. No, thanks for coming on the show.
I was saying, I think I'm agreeing with Dan. I think Bentancur's gone this summer now because he started with the whole comment, and now this has happened as well. I just think there's no way going to.
Well, that's if we can sell him. That's even if we can sell him. But we've got too much of a good connection with the South Koreans to be seen.
And he's got Uruguayan mates play for Galatasaray.
I think he's easy go back.
But what I'm saying is Tottenham have got too much of a good connection with the South Korean people to be seen to let this go with just a smack on the hand. They're going to have to come down on him like a ton of bricks and say goodbye. And that is final. That is all there is to it, basically. There's no ifs and buts in this one.
Clubs are a bit cynical in situations like this.
Not when it comes to Daniel Levy and the money that South Korea brings into Spurs.
No, I get the angle. I remember the angle with Paul Merson and like Adams being an alcoholic at Arsenal and other players rumoured to be on cocaine. Of course they weren't. Do you know what I mean? And things like that. No. And you're then not going to sell a player that's worth millions. You're not just going to throw him out of a club.
Yeah, but come on, you're talking about cynical, 80s.
It doesn't happen that way. Soren, your take?
I think starting off with the match, I think Bentancur is going to be in trouble. You are not protecting your family by chucking bottles into a crowd. If you're going to protect your family, you're going in there.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. As for the racist comments, look, we all support a team that has probably more racist comments thrown against them than most other teams around. And
well, technically, we do it ourselves.
Well, yeah, I know, but
so they say.
Hang on a minute. That word is in the dictionary now.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But
player or supporter of Tottenham Hotspur. If you walk under many descriptive narratives of the word Yid in Ashkenazi Yiddish,
I wasn't going to say that.
It's also a derogative term. It also simply just means Jew, but it's also in the English dictionary as a player or supporter of Tottenham.
But we're now at that point, Adrian, where we are at such a society in life where, like Has said, some people in that stadium won't take offence to it, and most will say it 10 times harder because it is our name. But you've got people in society who will take offence to that now.
Yeah.
Well, they need to step up then, don't they? Because with Spurs fans' usage of okay, we'll go a little brief because I know about this.
Just let me finish my point, Adrian.
Yeah, go on, finish your point. I'll come back to
what I was going to say is
the wire word.
I get where Dan's coming from with the Korean thing and things like that and the money. I don't think that comes into the argument here. I think it's a case of, as a club, the right thing to do is to sanction him or get rid of him, because we have to show we are not prepared for anybody to racially discriminate against either one of his own teammates or one of our players.
I agree. I'm talking from Daniel Levy.
I know, and that's what I say. I agree with you, but I don't think that comes into it in the sense of it's either right or wrong, and this is wrong.
Yeah, because I mean, listen, the club could. I mean, what is not used now is the old rule that you will have heard of, and rarely get used now, because the club always want to try to stay away from controversy, although it's very hard for them. The next PR blunder is always around the corner with Spurs, right? So, but there was always a rule of bringing the game into disrepute. You don't hear too much of it now, and the club could exercise it. Now, do they want to? Do they want this to die down and let the authorities out there deal with it and not get involved and say, like, well, no, we're not getting involved? Then you'd have to wait and see if there is a home reaction by fans at the ground or whatever, and then if that pressurizes the club into doing something or not doing something, right? So this is going to run until a decision's made out there in America over what happens. I see international bans and I see fines. I don't see anything more than that happening. Like, I don't see anything more than that happening personally. Will the player be kicked out of the club? If Ange don't fancy him, yes.
No.
But I don't see it happening.
What happens in Uruguay, Adrian? Yeah,
I don't see it happening. I don't see
nothing to go with it. But for the other situation, he's gone. And speaking from Daniel Levy, from how I'm seeing it, how Daniel Levy would see it, is the connection with South Korea is too good to let it go.
Right.
Soren is 100% right on how it should be looked at, but I don't think Daniel Levy looks at it like that. I think he looks at it more from the side of the connection. But Soren, you're 100% right on what you're saying. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah. I mean,
best way with words.
I think it's one of those that we can all have an opinion, and we'll never know until it's actually decided. It could be one of those where it's kind of just the club could just wait and let it quieten down, and it wouldn't surprise me. They could turn around and say, right, we'll accept any offer. The thing is, then you've got to get an offer for him. I don't think we'll let him go for free. I don't think we'll terminate his contract. I don't think that will happen. I do think if an offer comes in, we will sell him.
If he's got something on it, because a lot of players these days have something like so many links on their contract, but they have certain things that if they perform some crime or get caught doing this or get caught doing that,
breach of contract, you mean?
That's the one.
Gross misconduct. Gross misconduct.
Whatever it is, you can have a breach on your contract for anything that the deal says. We don't know what his contract says. We don't know what sort of thing it says. He might even have done a breach of contract and baked potato. See you later. But like Soren's saying, we just don't know. But if you go by technical society these days, Spurs have got to be seen to deal with him with a ton of bricks. And the way you do that is he's got to go.
The thing is, though,
I see what I see is fines, bans, and counselling. Now, when people are sent to counselling, whether you're a drink driver, this, that, the other, I see, and that is what I want to see, and I'd want to see the players pay for the counselling, right? That's what I'd want to see personally.
Adrian, I don't know what everybody else thinks of this, but all this talk of counselling and teaching and things like that, do we honestly think it would make a difference if you are, and I'm not saying Bentancur is racist, but if you are racist, doesn't matter how much counselling you go to, you are not going to change your mind. If it's something that's a society thing with Bentancur, going to counselling is only going to make him cleverer in the sense that he makes sure he doesn't get caught seeing it. But it doesn't mean to say that he's not the same person. But I would say if we were gonna do him for breach of conduct and get rid of him, I think it would have already happened.
Quite possibly, but also on the other side of that, is I think you'll find that a majority of people have slipped up and said something in their life. Of all cultures, all colours, all religions, all races.
A good point, Dan.
Just because you slip up once, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a racist person. It just means you made a stupid comment.
Yeah, I agree.
You do it the second time, you've now made a choice.
Yeah.
I personally think there was nothing meant in it, and it was just where his society and how he's grown up, he should have known better. And he made the wrong comment at the wrong time, which you just don't do in this day and age.
And we just
got clipped up.
Something like that, you go to counselling, as in, mate, fix up. You don't say that round here. Whereas if he would have turned round and said to him, you are this, whatever, now that's a whole different kettle of fish to me. I've seen a lot of things happen, and people do actually slip up, and they're far from racist. I don't think he's a racist person.
We see it, Dan. I agree. We see it from intelligent people, but when you see it in politicians, they're supposed to be word perfect, have a degree in English language, and when they slip up and say something in a sentence, whoever the rival opposition party are, they're sitting like praying mantis, waiting for people to slip up. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, like,
I've seen people of all cultures make comments towards each other, as a joke, serious, everything. It doesn't just happen from one side to the other. It happens everywhere,
Yeah.
But a majority of the time, it is either a moment of anger or it's someone having a banter that these days you don't do. And then you've also got the other people who are just dickheads and they're racist, to put it bluntly, But a lot of the time, it is actually a moment of anger, which doesn't. It's a stupid comment you've made, and I think everyone has slipped up at least once in their life, of all race cultures, not just people, not just Asian, not just black, not just religions, whatever. The majority of people slip up at least once in their life. But when you're in the focus of the eye like he is, and in this modern day and age, you can't go doing that.
No, because you know whatever you say is just going to get clipped up.
Yeah,
and he should have known better. So maybe counselling would work for that one, in the aspect of like, mate, we know you ain't a racist fella, but that was a dickhead comment to make, and you're going to have to do counselling.
Yeah, well said.
I just want to say one thing. Sorry,
or,
after you're done here.
Go on, mate.
You know, with Solomon, I don't know if you've seen anything about his posts and stuff like that. I don't want to get into the details, right? But obviously, there's loads of conspiracy theories about what actually happened to him in terms of like he's literally disappeared for the whole season.
So he was injured,
quote on marks. So don't you guys think maybe the same thing might happen to Bentancur? Like if they can't get him moved, do you think they'll just claim he's injured?
Yeah,
for like because he's injured anyway now.
I think you've got a good point there. But I will just say, Adrian, I'm going to have to go because I've got to start in the morning.
I've got to go a bit as well. So
it's just the whole thing with it. Just to
I'm going to say goodbye anyway. Night.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
A tricky. It's just such a thin line on everything now. With everything, everybody has to be careful. And the thing it needs, people do make mistakes, but these days you can't afford to make those mistakes, especially when you're in a situation of public eye, like that Benton Core is in. It's just, it is what it is. It's one of those things. And whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and he's going to have to take it on the chin, whether he gets kicked out, whether he gets course or whatever, he's going to have to take it because he slipped up. But I don't think it was meant as a racist comment. That's just a personal opinion. I think it was a thing he had to make. Exactly.
Yeah, I want to move on actually, because
my mates have said to me and I've said to them, and it's all banter. But some people just don't like that banter as such. It's generations as well. It's a very touchy situation.
I mean, I'm
careful.
I'm Greek, right? So I have Turkish friends. The amount of like banter we have between each other,
exactly.
You know, like it's just.
I've got mates from like all over the place, St. Lucia and all stuff like that, and some of the comments they make to each other are the worst ones out of all of them.
Yeah,
but
there's private conversations and there's locker room conversations. That's allowed.
What I'm
that's what I'm trying to say.
That's what we're trying to say, basically. But he done it in public. He has to be seen to get done for it. It just is what it is.
Yeah. Now, one thing I want to talk about, because it's something
I've got to shoot because I've got to jump on. Right. All right, cheers for having us on, Adrian. And
all right, cheers.
All right, thanks for having me on,
again.
All right.
See you later, mate. Take care.
Cheers, bye. And then there were two, Mark. I did ask Jose if he wanted to come on, but I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, I can see you sent him the link.
Yeah. Danny. Oh, he's on Alan's in 2 minutes. Okay, that's no problem. Yeah. So I just want to say for the listeners and those that are watching on playback that in 2013, Spurs were taken to court for Spurs fans' uses of the Y word, the word "yid," which seems to be. I was even like told to use the Y word when I was on a radio show, right? Which I said like, well, no, and they said why not? And I went, well, because like. In 2013, we were taken to court, and the judge turned around and said that Spurs fans' usage of the Y word was not abusive, threatening, or anti-Semitic. Those three things. Right?
Well, that's where the song comes from. Where the song comes from. We all know what song.
We adopted the word "yid" as a form of reverse psychology because people are calling us the word "yid" as a derogative term, right? The same way
as these games in the 70s.
Yeah, the same way as Arsenal, right, have adopted the word "gooners" because their rivals like us, Chelsea and West Ham, called them "goonies" as a derogatory term, and they've used reverse psychology to deflect it away from that fact, right? So after that, it was raised in Parliament, and David Cameron was a Prime Minister at the time, and David Cameron turned around and said, well, for Spurs fans to use the Y word, it would be like self-deprecating anyway. They'd be insulting themselves, he said.
Yeah.
He says, besides that, it's not a hate crime. And to prove a hate crime, like you have to prove that hate was intended. And this is not the situation with Spurs, right?
Certainly not.
Then we move forward, right? We move forward to a case where the police arrested 3 Spurs fans. We played FC Sheriff and West Ham. 2 were arrested one match, 1 was arrested the other. And he went to the Crown Prosecution Services and they threw it out. They said, we've got no chance of getting a conviction on this because Spurs fans do. So since that day, the police will not intervene at a Spurs game if fans are using the Y word, the word "yid," right? So we moved on from that. Since then, what happened was you had outsiders complain that don't understand why Spurs use the Y word. Yeah, and it doesn't help when you get people like David Baddiel, who's a Chelsea fan, who goes on about it because like that just comes across, we say, as bias anyway. And rivals wars. I mean, it's very unique to us and we use it. And I think there's a lot of reason why people don't like us using it, Mark, because like it is unique to us and we're proud of it and we're proud to use the word, right? And so like, you know, we move on to then, and then now in the Oxford Dictionary, which Daniel Levy and his co-authors on the board didn't like when it was put in there, because when you get new modern terms that are accepted throughout society, they become words in the Oxford Dictionary, right? And it's in there. Now, under the many descriptive narratives of the word "yid" on the Oxford Dictionary, you will find like Jew, you would find derogative term, an Ashkenazi Yiddish, I know it's mentioned as mate, pal, chum. And you'll also find it now, and it will say a player and supporter of Tottenham Hotspur.
Yes.
Now it's quieted down because every year it always got raised when we were playing West Ham away or Chelsea away or Arsenal away. This perennial subject got raised by the media who got nothing better to talk about apart from snipe at our club. We all know how much they love to do that, right? And you'd think, and they do it every year. And the thing that used to make me sort of like gasp, or what beggars belief is, all these sports reporters, Mark, right? They know Spurs fans don't use the word Yid in a derogatory manner, an anti-Semitic manner, a hateful manner, a blasphemy manner. They know that, yet they then were continuing to bring it up every year.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that is just total BS. Total BS. And if now listen, the club, if they wanted to, but they don't, the amount of blunders they make, they could ban fans from saying it in the stadium. It's their stadium. They can do what they want, set what rules they want. But you know what it's like in the pubs and bars around Spurs. And you'd have seen people that have got Yid tattoos as well as wearing Yid T-shirts and all that. They don't do it because they're racist or hateful people. They do it because it's ingrained in them. They're proud of this club. Now, we realise that Levy and his cohorts want everything to be politically correct and nicey, so they can maximise the commercial aspects of all areas of the club, right? We get all that. We know that goes on, you know. But you're not going to stop Spurs fans from using the word Yid. They're just not going to stop. You know, and
Right.
and now it's in the dictionary. Well, to me, I think that fox is shot.
Yeah, right. Now, I'll have my say on this matter. Now, I've been to games, especially in the 90s, 80s. I won't say which teams, but there was one certain team, a London rival. Let's just leave it like that. It may be David Baddiel's team. It may not be. And I was at the games, and the songs that their fans used to sing using the Y word was disgraceful. Absolute. I've never heard such vile statements and songs. You know, like, well, we all know the songs. We all know the songs that they sing. I'm not even going to give it the airtime to mention some of the words that was in it. But like every time I go to Tottenham, and I say Yid all the time. Like I've got people that know me that call me Yid. You know, because they know I support Tottenham. You know, and I've been to Tottenham, and I've been in especially the bricklayers. I've been in the bricklayers singing and shouting, "We're the Yids" and all that sort of stuff. You know, and I don't sing it. Well, to me,
it's a sense of pride. It's a battle cry.
Yeah, it is.
Or racist remark.
To me, Yid, to me means I support Tottenham.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, to me, well, maybe it's because I don't live in London, you know, but to me, it's nothing to do with being Jewish, even though it is a Jewish word, obviously, because, you know, Yiddish is a language. But, you know, it's nothing to do with Jewish or anti-Jewish or, you know, to me, it just means I'm a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's got nothing to do with, like, any political statements or, you know, and like the Spurs fans, when you made your statement about when they brought it to court and all of that, that's where that song comes from. You know, sang it in France, sang it in Spain, all that sort of stuff. They tried to stop us, and look what it did. You know, because they tried to stop us, but look what it did. That is when, because I believe at the ground there was things going round about please don't use, you know, please don't sing songs about being a Yid.
This is which is,
and that went on for a while, but then that just
are detached from the actual real fan base. That shows how detached they are. I mean, like, come on, you know. And I mean, you go back, the most loudest and proudest I heard it sang was when we beat Arsenal 3-0 at the stadium. the roof was lifted.
Yeah.
And if Levy and his Colts are sitting in the West End, I think, and even then, the Prawn Sandwich Brigade there were probably singing it as well. We could probably get carried away with it. It was so loud, Mark. And I thought, this is us. And we're beating the scum 3-0, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it was a fantastic atmosphere. And there was there was more hate towards Arsenal as an institution. Let's be fair. When you talk about hate towards another club anyway, it's the club and what they are. It's not their fans. Because I've got Arsenal fans. I was best man at a wedding of an Arsenal fan. Best man at his wedding, right? So it's not that. We've all got friends that support different teams, you know.
Yeah.
But because of the spice of life, we like the rivalry. We hate other clubs because either they're more successful than us or we want to be better than them, you know, blah, blah, blah. And because they're close to us, close to our vicinity as well, you know. So, but that's natural in all sports throughout the world.
The first North London derby I went to was the 92 Charity Shield at Wembley. And it was the first one I'd ever been to. And I went and I thought, right, this is going to be a riot. But when you actually see the fans, so I was walking up Wembley Way, going to the game, and you see the fans, and there'd be like 2 or 3 Arsenal fans, and their mate had a Tottenham fan, had a Tottenham shirt on, you know, and then you'd see 2 or 3 Tottenham fans and a couple of Arsenal fans, and they were all walking up. They were having a laugh. All right, they were jibing backwards and forwards, but it wasn't like I imagined it, where it was going to be just a complete riot because everyone hated each other. You know, I mean, and it got me to realise that most of the Tottenham and Arsenal fans, especially from the area, they all live with each other. You know, it's all the same area. You know?
Yeah. Right.
You know, and to be honest, all right, there was songs and that going backwards and forwards, but I never saw one fight at that game. Not one.
Right, we'll move on to a point which is probably dearer to your heart, actually. And I read this with sort of semi-disbelief as well. Today, the club they published their first club fan engagement report, right? Just giving you a chance to vent your spleen, Mark, because I know how you feel on these things. The club have published a fan engagement report. We are committed to providing the best supporter experience and have identified the following objectives for the 224-25 season, right? Don't explode just yet, Mark, right? Save it.
Yeah,
Save
I haven't heard them yet.
So point one, continue to build strong relationships with trust and transparency on both sides. Don't laugh, right? 2, further strengthen the consultation process between the club, FAB, which is Fans of Ivory Board, and the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust. I've got time for the trust. I don't know nothing.
Yeah, I have now after watching that video on there.
I didn't watch that video, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I like Katrina Law and Martin Cloak, who were members of the board before. 3, further develop administrative processes and timescale around meetings. Well, that's nothing. 4, amplify the work of the Fans Advisory Board via appropriate communication channels. That's not really nothing. 5, use the findings from club supporters surveys to help inform Fans Advisory Board discussions. To me, it's waffle at the moment.
I was just about to say that. That just sounded like a load of waffle.
Yeah, but it's their first meeting. So they've had a meeting. They've all sat down, probably for coffee and sandwiches, and they've just waffled on. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
there's not a lot in that. I mean,
nothing there. Nothing.
The one thing I've never heard from this club is what their aims are. Yeah. You know, it's like when those owners went into Newcastle, they said they want to win league in, what was it, 10 years? You know, when have we ever heard anything like that? All we hear is, oh, we've done so well. We built this £1 billion stadium, and this is going to mean we can compete. Well, when's that starting? You know, I mean, you know, we get no clear objectives from the club whatsoever. What is the plan? You know, you know, are we? Is our main aim just to get fourth, which is what it seems like?
Well, we haven't heard nothing from. I mean, Jose asked this on his own chat channel and Talk and Ball. He asked this like he asked me, "Have you heard anything about the club's AGM?" Well, not a thing. Nothing's been. I don't know if any press were invited or whether they were going to publish a report of the AGM. If they publish a report without the press being there, you know it's going to be a PR exercise anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, so I'm not expecting anything now, just an AGM. Okay, we'll move on a little bit more.
Well, can you remember?
Go on.
Can you remember when the trust sent that strongly worded letter to Mr. Levy with all these questions on it? And the first thing he said, and the first thing he said on the reply was, "We have had European football for 17 years." They never even asked that. And yet he's got
the thing with the trust. If you were the trust, right, and you're a passionate get rid of Levy and Edict, right? I get the angle that you'd want to come from, and you'd want to come at them hard, right? But from a trust point of view, I also get the angle. You can't walk into the club when you kick the boardroom door down, rush in, bang your fists on the table.
Well, they're not going to speak to you if you do
make demands, because all they're going to do is stick their fingers up to you and say, like,
yeah, just going to throw you out.
So there's got to be some sort of like balance between how this goes about without everyone without the protesters thinking, oh, you're a soft bunch of like snowflakes to whatever. How you create that balance, I don't know. I'm not involved in none of that, right? I just don't know how you do that, right? So that's from a point. Right, so just moving on, right? Tomorrow, for those of you in the chat and watching on playback, and thank you for being there with us, right? Is Saturday the 13th of July, and we're playing Cambridge United at Hospital Way. It's the first of our pre-season friendlies, right?
Is that on Spurs play, or is it?
I don't think that one's. I think the other 6 pre-season friendlies.
Yeah, because I read the one against Cambridge is behind closed doors.
Right.
That's what I read, but whether I was just asking whether it was on Spurs play.
Me as well, because this has only recently come up. So if we wanted this game. It's interesting.
Ange put in for that, didn't he?
Well, he must have. This is interesting.
Ange asked for it.
We have played before, and it's interesting with the players that are back at the squad now, because we're not going to have our regular centre backs back. They're on holiday. VDV will be on 2 weeks holiday. Van der Vaart. Romero is in a final yet for.
He's still out, right?
Lo Celso's out there, even though he's not regular at the squad as well, right? So you can lose those 3 straight away, even though Lo Celso go on.
The Dragon, he's probably on his holiday still.
He'll be on his holidays as well. Probably, he might be close to coming back. I don't know. So my thinking is, if we're playing a friendly tomorrow, I think it's likely that Ashley Phillips will get a game in centre defence alongside Ben Davies, probably. Because I can't think of anyone else, Mark, unless you can at this time. I can't.
Well,
right?
You know more about the youth team than I do. Have they got any under 18s, or who's in the defence for them?
Our academy levels go down to under 9s, believe it or not.
I know, but well, they're not going to play them, are they? But the under 21s or so. No,
so you've got that, and just looking for my notes. I can see Donnelly. Well, Parrott won't be involved because the rumour is that Troy Parrott, he trains separately from the squad when they're back. Those that are back.
Hasn't he disappeared through his medical?
Well, what has happened?
Or he's going to do his medical.
No, what has happened is that he's gone.
But he's obviously done his medical then.
The strong rumour is he trained separately to the squad because he did well and scored 17 goals in the era of Dizzy. AZ Alkmaar have come in And the rumour is that €8 million has been agreed, about 5 million quid or something for him. Spurs have accepted. He trains separately from the squad, and Troy Parrott is gone. Or very, very close to have gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't heard a here we go off of her.
I just read that he was on his way to do his medical.
Yeah, he may have flown out. He may well have done that, Mark. He may well have done that. So that's the right. That's that friendly. But we have six more pre-season friendlies now. On the 17th of July, which is next week, we're away to Hearts. Now it's their 150th anniversary.
Yeah.
The fans watching on playback, we took Dave Mackay of Hearts, one of our greatest double-winning captain from Hearts. Right?
You want the captain?
Well, you had him and Blanchflower in the team.
Yeah. Blanchflower was captain, wasn't he?
So you had him in the team. We did play Hearts on their 100th anniversary. I believe past as well, right? So we're playing them. Then 3 days later, we're playing QPR away. Now, normally when you're playing these teams away, it's usually because you're interested in one or more of their players. I don't know why we're playing QPR away. I know Ellie's going because her husband's a QPR supporter. And,
is he ticket holder, or has Ellie just got tickets through QPR?
I wouldn't know. I don't know, right? And then we got 3 trips in the Southern Hemisphere because on the 27th of July, we played Vissel Kobe in the Japanese National Stadium. Then on the 31st of July, we played Team K, a mixture of South Korean footballers in Seoul, Korea. Then on the 3rd of August, we play the first game against Bayern Munich in Seoul in Korea.
Yeah.
And the reason for those 3 games at those particular times,
money.
Yeah, we know they're for money, PR exercises, but also because from June to mid-July, and Korea on the map is not that far away from Japan, right? Geographically, right?
No,
that is the rainy season out there. So we're playing mid-late July, 17th of July there for those reasons, and then we play Bayern Munich at home on the 10th of August at Spurs Stadium. 2 games of Bayern we've got. And then the week later, 7 days later, the season starts. So I like the idea that we're playing lots of fixtures. What I don't like is the fact that I've always wanted my team to be back at the training ground a month before the season starts, and that we should play friendlies and all that in the UK. But obviously,
definitely,
the way things work out is different. Maybe that could work out different if, say, next year we were in America rather than South Korea and all that. But we have to appease our sponsors as well, which is understandable. You know, if they're paying money, I mean, that's fair enough, right? But as long as it doesn't affect the team's progress.
I don't think they care. Well, I honestly don't think they care.
No, they won't. They won't care, Mark. No, I agree with you. They won't care at all. So that's that. So then, like I say, the only other thing we can add today is that, there have been 3 fixture changes because we're involved in Europa League. The Premier League brought out their fixtures, right?
Well, we all knew this was going to happen.
And then we're then waiting for, okay, fixtures are brought out in these days by a computer, and we're then waiting for the Europa League to come along, which they haven't come along, but 3 fixture dates have been changed. The Newcastle away game on Sunday the 1st of September has been changed to a kickoff of 1:30. You were right in a previous podcast we've done. Arsenal home on Sunday the 15th September.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, yeah, you're right. You were right about that.
Yeah. But they don't have it as a 4:30 one because everyone would be in the pub since midday.
Yeah, and then Manchester United away, Sunday the 29th of September. These are just the September ones. Kickoff is 16:30. Now, we don't know as yet what's happening until the Europa League draw's done, right? But we know that it means we're going to be playing Thursdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why our podcast will be on Fridays and Sundays. And if the games, for the Premier League games, if they're played early, you'll either have a preview of the games, those of you watching on playback, or you'll have a post-match overview of each game, critique of each game after the games are completed. It all depends what times the kickoffs are arranged off, because we're in unknown territory at that moment, so we can't do nothing about that. So that is on my 3 pages, is about that, unless you've got anything to add.
Well, no, not really. You know, I mean,
Ellie, don't beat yourself up. You're a great,
no.
You're a great host. You're tired. You've got issues. We know that. You got.
I see Ellie's messages. I mean, Ellie's on WhatsApp at like.
You're a fantastic admin. You're a fantastic admin.
Yeah, Ellie's on WhatsApp at like 1:30 in the morning, and then by the time I get up, she's already put another one on there at like 6:20 in the morning. Because I often think to myself, does Ellie actually sleep? I cannot honestly work it out, because it's like I said, I've seen messages from her on WhatsApp at like 1:20, 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then there's another one at like 6:15 or something. And I'm like,
I'm a night owl as well, Mark.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, Mark.
Yeah, I know, but like for 4 hours sleep, because you must have been asleep, I suppose, between, well, at some stage. I've always wondered whether Ellie does actually sleep. Or whether she's just 24/7.
Anyway, she's an excellent admin. You're an excellent mod. I'm going to play us out with this, which everyone will love. I'll see you in the back room.
Spurs